Good morning and happy Friday to everybody who is out here. Got nice and chilly, little chilly weather going on for everybody right here on our Friday, our fun football Friday, foolishness Friday, lots of shenanigans kind of Friday, freaky Friday if you got it, if you're fortunate enough this weekend. But no matter what it is, baby, it is Friday. It is time. It is time for the old-fashioned sports show, and I'm your host. Hopefully one of your favorite uncles, Anwar Richardson, and here for the next 3 hours. Thursday I had to cut it short because, we had to get the Prize Pick show in. But this one today, not so much. We are here, and we ain't going anywhere. We are bad boys for life. I hope I don't have to pay anybody for that one. I hope that wasn't a copyright infringement. Unc ain't got it. Just so you know, Diddy, Unc ain't got it. So hopefully you understand that. Yeah, man. Listen, man, we are almost like 2 weeks in. 2 weeks in about for Movember. What you think? I'm not even at a Danny Glover stage at this point, right? I mean, this is kind of like Chris Rock. Or the little mustache that Chris Rock used to have. Like, that's kind of where we're at right now. It's really not, but I ain't trying to. I'm doing my best. Grow this mustache out for Movember. It is Men's Health Awareness Month, fellas. And the reason for I'm growing this mustache out is so we can have the conversations, the things to be had about the men's health issues, things that we don't talk about as bros, as fellas, okay? But go ahead and have the conversations about prostate cancer, testicular cancer, mental health challenges, and suicide prevention. So I saw something, a meme the other day that says if you are old enough to know what this is, you need to get a prostate exam, and it was a pencil sharpener. So yes, fellas, it's time to go to the doctor. It is time to get help. We're getting older. We want to live a long life. We don't necessarily love doctors. We definitely don't love insurance companies. We know that thing is a kind of a hustle. Forgot that. But nonetheless, we need to go ahead. In order to live a long life, we need to go get certain things checked, okay? So whatever that is, it's been a while since you made a doctor's appointment. Go ahead and do that because it's not going to benefit you. It's going to benefit your family. And then, of course, mental health awareness. There's a lot of people going through stuff. You might be going through stuff. And don't be ashamed to go out and reach out to somebody and have the conversations that we don't have. Sit down with someone and talk to them about what's going on. Don't live a life in isolation. When you get isolated, it's easy to get tormented. So when the more you start talking about the things that you're facing, the easier it is to deal with it. So if you got those challenges, feel free and to go ahead and reach out to those professionals. And of course, this month, when the thing I'm going to make sure we donate to at the end of the month will be suicide prevention, because there's too many people going through things in life that don't have someone to talk to. And we're going to make sure that we do our part to help those who are going through those things. All right. So Movember, Mental Health Awareness Month. Here we go. I'm just not doing my part. I'm doing my part. I just can't do it. It is an attempt, right? So today's an attempt. So I've only got like how many more days? How many days is in this month? 30. So 20 more days. Hopefully impress you. Of course, if all goes well, there might be some more challenges that occur if Texas goes to the Big 12 championship game, right? That'll be something, because Texas is heading on the road to Fort Worth this weekend, and we're going to have a lot of discussions today about what that thing is going to look like. I'm going to give you my matchups, my 5 keys. I got the keys. 5 keys for Texas pulling off a victory. It is time, really. You guys step on these Horned Frogs in the last meeting. The last meeting, you just gotta step on it. You ever just accidentally just stepped on one It's just squishy. Ever ran over one? Oh man, I ran over one in my driveway a couple of months ago. Didn't realize I did until I came back home. I forget what road trip it was. I think it might have been Texas OU. I should have taken a picture. It would have been symbolic. But yeah, and then I had to go and get rid of that. It was Texas OU. I came back and I was like, oh man, I must have ran over that thing. Didn't even hear it. But nonetheless, Texas going on the road. Last one versus TCU. Go out with a bang. Like I said, it's time. It'll be time for Texas to remind TCU that they are little brother, and what better way to do that to go on the road, a place that they hadn't had a ton of success at, and go ahead smack them around. That's what they need to do. And then the last thing, speaking of smacking, I mean that's probably a horrible transition, but nonetheless, what the other thing? Oh wait. I forgot to do this. Let me acknowledge everyone's in the chat first before I even get to El Presidente. Let me get to the people who are in here first and in here early to talk about your Texas Longhorns, people who are joining this show. And hopefully you get informed, you get news first, all that kind of stuff. Like, man, what more can you want? What more do you want out of a morning show? You get horrible mustaches and you get breaking news. What could be better? Zio_V, my favorite Hennessy bottle, number 1, heading into the weekend. I see you. And I also see you, Kiki. What's going on to you? I think you said you got one more tournament. Is that this weekend, Kiki? You guys got one more tournament? It's got to be coming up soon because the holidays are coming up soon. So what you going to be doing? And, man, Kiki, I'm trying to tell you, man, take your kid over to Ball Hard. Let Sean work with him. He's probably got some sort of holiday camp or something like that. There's very few trainers out there that I think will match what he can give you. So, Kiki, just a free shout out to Sean over at Ball Hard, looking for basketball training. He's the guy that's got you covered. Mr. Hookham is there. I see you there. Russ, yo, what's going on to you? DWD, I see you right there. I love what you always come in with, DWD, morning horns and haters. We need you. Absolutely. Like Cat Williams says, we need haters. We embrace haters. Where them OU haters at, though? Where them OU haters at, man? Where is Stoopsified go? I mean, I ain't heard from Stoopsified in a little bit of time. Somebody go and do a wellness check on Stoopsified. And Bo came in here on a Monday. Haven't heard him. Oh, Stoopsified is here. What? Ask and you shall receive. Where is $1 million? Let me just, if it works that easily, where is my $1 million? Is $1 million going to come to me today? Am I somehow going to win on my prize picks? Like, tell me something. Like, because Stoopsified is here. Look at you. Where's Bo? You know what I appreciate about you, Stoopsified? I love your consistency. I'm glad you are here. Stay on your point. Stoopsified, your team's got to do their part. I told you, Stoopsified, my goal, my petty goal is for Texas and OU to be in the Big 12 championship game. I need that to happen. I need you to have a conversation with your crew, assemble them, have a motivational speech, Stoopsified. I need you guys to get back to where you need to be. Please. We've got to unify the evil the forces, combative, working together to make Brett Yormark's world just crazier, right? So that thing has got to happen. Good morning to you, DWD. Good morning to you, Alan. Good morning to you, Just a Dude. I love it when you do it twice, Just a Dude. Getting closer to the top. Chris Nelson, a simple yo. Ant is in the house. He's saying hook up. Robert is in the house. The other half of Bobby and Whitney. So good morning to you, Robert. My main man, Corleone Burgess, is in the house. Chris Bennett, the OG, original gangster of Superfans, is in the house. Matt Gillette, morning from Illinois. Ooh, I can't imagine how cold it is where you are, Matt, but I imagine it is quite nippy. But good morning to you as well. Good morning to you. Just another fragrance review is in here. My main man, Dale Coleman, said just got paid. It's Friday night. Yeah. Party hunting, feeling right. I see you, Dale. You got me going. That's when you know you're old. Now, can I do the WAP? No, I don't want to do all that, you know. I just did it, right? If you're old enough to know what that WAP, what and that's before it got this Cardi B thing to it. She we just had WAP, you know. It was like you did the WAP, and then there was the other song. Let me do your WAP, 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 right? And then then it just went from like nice, fun, innocent stuff to like, yo, wait, this is a lot. There's a lot. It's really heavy. I got kids in the car. I don't know what's going on. Texas guy too. Friday, good morning to you. And yes, Texas guy. I'll be headed to Fort Worth this weekend. Texas guy too. I can tell you where I won't be stopping. Kyle Harmon is in here. Ryan Foster is in here. Brandon, the mailman, out there in the truck delivering all kinds of. Boy, Brandon, man, all I gotta say to you, Brandon, is you already know. I ain't gotta tell you. Woo! Christmas season is right around the corner. Those Amazon packages are gonna be coming hot and heavy. My man, good luck to you. That's all I gotta say to you, Brandon. Boy, you're gonna be grinding. My goodness. Good luck to you. Hang in there. Hang in there. Brown Hammer, good morning from Oklahoma. Horns up all the way to the Big 12 championship. I feel you. What part of Oklahoma, by the way? I've only really been to Oklahoma City, you know, because you never get a chance to go to Norman. So I've never seen a game there, you know. So I never know. Don't even know what that stadium atmosphere is like or anything to that effect. But what part of Oklahoma are you from? Robert Kemp is in here, the JB24 fan club president. Good morning to you, sir. We're going to have a lot to discuss about JB coming up today. Cotton, you just man, Cotton. I was thinking about you yesterday, and some of your comments during my guest when I have my guest on. You are hilarious. It's all good. Actually, it was Wednesday when I had my guest on, and once again, you still hilarious. Julian Dawes is in here. Jimmy D is in here. Jared's in here. Mike Welch is in here. Money B, you're absolutely in the building. Paul, good morning to you, Paul. Hope you have a good weekend with you and the family. Jared, you're in here. You excited to hear from Unc? Man, I'm excited to hear from you, nephew. Let's see. Alan, I think I talked to you. Doug, good morning, old-fashioned peeps. That's right. There's a cool place in downtown Fort Worth. I think it's a speakeasy place. And so I'm definitely going to check that one out. Speaking of an old fashioned, he's going for the corner. He said, "Where Bo at?" That's where I know. We got Stoopsified. Stoopsified is in here. Where is Bo at though? He was here on a Monday. I don't know where he is now. BK 817 is in here. Of course, Mr. Stoopsified, Mr. 512 is in here. Yes, please, everybody hit that like button. Sark After Dark, El Jefe. Yes, I'm here. Huntington Beach is in here. Someone from A&M is saying they're going to start winning with their Brazos Valley's values. Okay. He's going for the corners. Yes, of course. Agent Z, Darian B, going to get through the rest of you early risers here. Surfer Boy 3000. I like that. A Jeezy 77. I'm gonna make it easy. Let's see who else is in here. I got you. Big Tex is in here. Good morning to you, Big Tex. SEC Matt, it's been a while for you, man. SEC Matt, you know, I'm still thinking about you, still praying for you. How's mom's doing? I think it was your mom was going through the process. So give us an update if you can. How is that going on your end? If you're willing to talk about it. Rob is here. Tom G. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Tom G. Charles is in here. Who else? Kiki. Are you going to hit him up today? Good, Kiki. Check it out. Let him know Unc sent you. Is in here. Let's see what's going on. David Lewis is in here. Going to make sure I don't miss anybody else. Touchdown Texas. Major Alexander. Jared, I think I said what's up, but just in case I didn't, I'm going to make sure I do. Major Alexander. Texas, man. Where's Texas mama? I haven't seen her in a hot minute. Kyle Harmon is in here. Don Keedick is in here. Shook ones, because ain't no such things as halfway crooks. And then Michael Harges. My man is in here as well. And the last but not least, who will be in here pretty soon, is going to be El Presidente with his picks because it's Eric Sells Holmes DFW. It's Friday. If you are looking for a home in the DFW area, you have to look no further than El Presidente. You're looking to buy a home, you're looking to sell a home. Going to be on the market for the home soon. You think about selling it in later this year, the upcoming year, whatever it is. Like, that's the person. That's Eric Sells Homes DFW. You got that QR code there for all you old people, and you got not in these nice phones. All you got to do, open up the camera and point it to that little box of things right there, and your camera's going to pick it up. You go. It's there. All you got to do is it's going to put a link on there. All you got to do is hit the link. It's going to take you to his website. Gonna learn. We all learn something new every day. Yes, Eric Sells Homes DFW. He's the man. He's got you covered. Make sure you hit him up. And El Presidente will be in here about 10:20 today, giving us his picks. Blake, do you have his record from last week? You may have to look that up. You do? Okay, cool. So we'll have. I think El Presidente is hovering around 500, and so we'll be able to talk to him as well. Speaking of Blake, come on, camera. Hey, give us so the prize picks. Prize came out with their stuff last night. We didn't have it for the prize pick show, but let's talk about the Texas things that are available for prize picks right now.
We got them. We got a bunch of them.
A ton. It's like as soon as Quinn came back, they were like, we're going to put a bunch of things on there. We've got, looks like, oh my gosh, my old.
I can make these bigger here.
Hold on. Oh, I'm like, wait, I can't see. That's okay. You can make it as big as you want to. I still can't see it. I'm gonna come up closer. So we got Adonai. so here's what's interesting. So Adonai Mitchell, I got him at 57.5 yards, right? Like, that seems good and it seems manageable. But then I started thinking, oh man, what happened? He took off with Malik as the quarterback. And outside of really that, I think it was the Kansas game, Adonai Mitchell has kind of been quiet. Like, what is so we'll look at? We like 59.
Yeah, 141 against Kansas, 33 against Oklahoma, 14 Houston, and then 59 against BYU, and exploded for 149 in Kansas State.
Yes, but those last two were with that one quarterback. What about do they have those are his last couple of games? He's prior to that, it still has been kind of quiet from a productivity one. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. With Quinn back, Adonai sounds like I don't know. I do like the CJ Baxter 42.5. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I like that. He rushed for 90 last week. I think the TCU run defense is gettable for sure. He's been getting a still bulk load of the carries, even though Jonathan Brooks is the go-to guy. So 42.5 seems pretty doable.
Yeah, I like the 42.5 with him for sure. The Jatavian Sanders one is tricky for me. So
that is tricky.
The 37.5. Ugh. But then with Jatavian, so I mean, he's still recovering from like a high ankle sprain at this moment, and so I don't. That one I'll probably stay away from.
I always stay away from it if he hasn't hit the last 5 games.
That's fair enough. So you don't go. I was gonna say you don't go with the he's due thought process. You don't do that.
All right, Brooks 104.5.
I mean, I love the Brooks 104.5, but there's also a Brooks rushing and receiving though. See, the 26.5, yeah, the Brooks rushing and receiving 136.5. That's the one I'm leaning towards, Blake, because I feel like
he had no receiving yards last game. Surely they get him more involved this week, right?
He did, but my theory is, okay, Quinn is going to have to do the check down if he wants to stay healthy. So, I think he'll take – it might be willing to take a few shots here and there, but I can see him just getting rid of the ball so he doesn't take another shot on the shoulder. And that's why I look at a guy like Brooks, and I can see a couple of dump-off passes that Brooks, takes advantage of, especially against, secondaries that's not that good. That's why the Brooks 136.5 is a little appealing to me
That's a good point. That makes me kind of want to reconsider Sanders too. When you think about depth of target for this matchup, if we don't think Quinn's deep ball is something they're really going to pursue, if they're throwing underneath, that's a lot of Sanders. So
yeah. It's definitely someone to consider. I don't know about the 3.5 receptions. That one scares me a lot as far as the receptions are concerned. I know he had 4, and I see the previous history, but
it wouldn't scare me if he didn't have 0 last game.
Well, there's that, right? There is that 0 that happens. Where's Rodolfo? Where's Rodolfo? Where is Rodolfo? Because he's got to be somewhere in the chat. That's his favorite player. The Jordan Winnington 2.5.
What a weird last 5 games. 2, 2, 10, 2, 3.
Yeah. The Jordan Winnington 2.5. I'm just staying away from everything Jordan Winnington related. Yeah, I'm not. And same goes for his receiving yards, which is, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And like 19, 19, 115, 10, and 23. Whew. Yeah, I'm away from that. Now, this one was interesting. The 277.5 for Quinn. You're going to take the more on this one?
Oh, man. I don't know if I'm going to touch this one. That's just with the injury. I don't know how much. I'm not expecting any deep shots. Maybe a deep shot or 2, but I'm not expecting them to hit on that. So I think most of the stuff is going to be underneath. I don't know if he's going to get the chunk yards as much. I'd probably stay away from this one. I think it's close. I think it's right on the money. He probably throws for 275.
Yeah, I think you're. It's that one is that one's a tricky one as well. What else do they have? A 0.5 interceptions. I don't like to bet interceptions. I don't like
it if there's a guy who really sucks.
Correct. I don't want to bet on Quinn throwing an interception. I don't want to be rooting against the guy. You know, that's kind of crazy. So interception one. If you want to, the only reason why the interception might make some sense is if Quinn's not taking a lot of deep shots and he's going underneath. Then there probably is a less of a chance for some sort of mishap that's there. Major Alexander goes, they will hit that running back wheel route tomorrow with JB. You might be right, Major. I definitely, that's why I like that combo, Major. That's why I like that combo with the running backs, rushing and receiving yards with JB. That's why I like that one a lot. Xavier Worthy.
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a good line.
That is really good. That is really, really good.
He's either going to have 5 or 6. Like
it is. That is the sweet spot right there. I gotta feel that Xavier had to be like, hey man, you got to help me out, man. I barely have touched the ball. So and we know the thing about Xavier is we know he's going to get the targets. That's not the issue. I don't know. I'm probably less on it, but the number I do like, if you go to the next one though, as relates to Xavier though, the yards, I kind of feel like he's going to be due.
Because he could do that on 3 catches.
Yes, that's the thing about Xavier. My thing is he's going to get 14 targets, so he may get 3 catches, and all he really needs to do is break 1 out of the 2. So if he's got one for 15, another one for 15, he's sitting there at 30. That you only need him to really break 1, which we know, hell, all it takes for Xavier is one little screen pass, and he can take it to the house. So
we've seen it. Yep.
Yeah, so I like Xavier coming back from the dead with the quarterback that can get him the ball. So I do like the Xavier one. Is that it?
That's the last one.
Which ones, if you had to put a few in, which are solids? What's the ones that you like the most?
Brooks rushing. I would take 104.5. CJ Baxter, right? I think Texas is going to run the ball.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Quinn is not 100%, even though he's going to play. I saw, the latest report on him on orangeboys.com. I think Texas is going to be running the ball a lot. So give me the rushing yards on Brooks and Baxter for sure. And then for a third, I think I like Mitchell to have a good game.
Right, those three. Okay, those three for you. What about
those three? I like.
Can you put up TCU? What they got on the TCU side?
Let's do that.
Let's see what they got on the flip side. And since for Stoops are fire, we'll do OU for shits and giggles. All right. So they've got So they put Imani at 64.5. Whew.
He's got that every other game kind of magic. Look at this.
Yeah. I mean, this is not a game you would expect him to really go off on. So, but that's such a, 64.
Yeah, he could get 70 yards. That's not going off.
Yeah, that's true too. This is a game though. This becomes a game like how much do you expect what kind of lead do you expect Texas to have? Is what that really kind of boils down to for me. All right.
And how is Hoover playing? Are they having to rely on the run game a whole bunch?
Yeah. I mean, they can't. But it's hard to run against this defense. So, I think in order for TCU to win, they're going to have to pass. And so Major Alexander goes, "Hey, Unc, I got a notice about my trash cans yesterday. My neighbor's snitching on me too. Man, Major, when you start coming out here, you live in the burbs, man, they snitch like they watch and they snitch." And I'm like, how much of a loser do you have to be rolling around and then file a complaint that someone's trash can is out? Like, do you really think that brought your property value down like another 15%? Like, you think people are rolling through the neighborhood and they're like, we'd love to buy a house in this neighborhood, but oh my gosh, trash cans out. Oh, like, come on, like, hey, like, show me on your property assessments, your tax assessments every year where they're like, man, look at here.
I probably like the trash cans out. That means it's getting picked up.
Yeah, and property value went down because Major let his stuff down. Like, yes, Major, you're bringing down the neighborhood. They be snitching out there, man. What else we got? So Imani, they put an 83.5 on a
Rushing
total.
Plus receiving. Okay.
I don't know. That one's tough. Jalen Robinson at 38.5. I don't know about
pretty low line.
It is. I mean, and you said, what is those numbers? That those are like 58, 60, 35, 47?
Yeah, 68, 7, 68, 35, 47 in the last 5 games.
The thing to me, you can keep going, by the way. The thing is, if they have more receivers, the thing to me, and this is where it becomes interesting. We look at Josh Hoover, right? 242.5. I'll be honest with you, Blake. I probably would take the more on this one. That Texas there's two things that happens. One, we've seen quarterbacks have success against the Texas secondary, right? We've seen that happen all year long. And if you think that Texas is going to have a lead, then for sure Hoover's going to have to throw the ball, right? And so they're not going to. They can't. To me, they can't win by running the ball. They're not going to rush for $150 against this Texas defense, right? So the only way for them to do it is they're going to have to pass. It's got to be Hoover. And again, if they fall behind, he may get a lot of just garbage yards. They might not score a lot, but at 242, I can see him finish with 270, 280. Like I can definitely see that.
I'm with you. And Hoover can sling it, even though he's got a loose cannon. He'll throw a couple interceptions, but he can also, again, he threw for 439 against BYU and 350 against Tech. So he can throw it around a little bit.
Yeah, so I definitely like that. Is this the kicker? Or that's
this is receptions for JP Richardson.
Yeah, I'll probably take the more on that one. I think you gotta throw it to somebody.
If that's part of your game script, how you think it plays out for sure.
Yeah, I would just, again, not success, but I just feel like, man, that's the only way to do it. And that's kind of, if there is a weakness to the Texas defense at times, it is the secondary giving up some yards. That's probably a little bit of a weakness there. And then that's that one, you just got to go in the weeds with a guy like Savion Williams. Like, that's just where you're at. Like, how much do you really want it? So,
Did you say you wanted to look at the Oklahoma pick?
Yeah, let's look at Oklahoma real quick. Let's see what they're doing. Just real quick. We don't have to spend all the time, but since Stoops and Fight is in here, he's family. I don't mind.
Actually, yeah. So they're playing West Virginia, 6
Mhm.
o'clock. I actually took the more on Gabriel when it was at what is it now? 267. Yeah, okay, 267.5. I actually took the more on both Gabriel and the West Virginia quarterback, just because I thought there might be some points scored in that game.
Yeah. No, I could definitely. I mean, that's the OU formula, right? There's going to be points scored, points that are given up. I do like that one. Where's where's Drake Stoops at though? Where is he at?
Drake Stoops, 69 and a half receiving yards.
They've caught on to him. They've caught on to him. What's Drake's numbers look like recently from the receiving yard standpoint? Yeah, Drake Stoops. Honestly, I've played him. I've taken the more. I feel like I've won just about every time I've taken him. So, he's a sneaky good play. 69.5. He's a guy that I probably would take the more on as relates to him. To be quite honest with you, and he could really achievable numbers for him, and he usually gets volume as well. So I definitely like that. Oh, another one too, Alan Bowman. They got Oklahoma. They got Alan Bowman up there. They've got Alan Bowman at 255.5 versus UCF.
Oh yeah,
baby. Hello. Yes, against UCF, damn one of the worst team in the conference. Yes, thank you. Yes, absolutely. All day and twice on Sundays. Yes, Mr. Bowman. I'll gladly. We're talking about 334. Look at it like the past couple. 334, 286. There was a 210 versus West Virginia. 335, the 235 there, but no. And the last couple, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, he's heated up. Oh yeah, 255. Absolutely. Like that one.
You know what's weird, Anwar? The line on that game is Oklahoma State minus 2.5. That's it. 2.5.
Wow.
Vegas thinks it's going to be close. And the over-under 65.5, so they think there's going to be a bunch of points scored.
well, yeah. So that's where you. Then I would
take the more.
Yeah, I would take the more and everything. If you got some Oklahoma State plays, I would definitely be taking the mores on those.
The other one would be Ollie Gordon, who's just been.
Yeah. You would. What would you take with that one?
I don't know if I'd touch this one at 149.
I mean, it's like, golly. But UCF is horrible, though.
UCF is horrible.
It's like, so you're saying there's a chance. Yes, UCF is kind of horrible. So there is a part of me that was like, ooh, as crazy as that sounds, it may not be as crazy as it sounds.
Part of it is Oklahoma State is coming off the Bedlam win with all this confidence. And it would just be classic Oklahoma State to beat Oklahoma and then lose to UCF.
It would definitely be the Mike Gundy way.
That's the Mike Gundy special for sure.
Yeah, that would definitely be it. All right, man, that was cool. All right, I wanted to kind of go through all of that stuff. All right, well, Blake, let's do a quick break. And then when we come back, Steve Sarkeesian spoke yesterday. Quinn Ewers is going to be starting. So let's go through everything that Sark talked about. Everything that's talking a little bit more the conversation about Quinn, some other things that I was able to learn yesterday, and then Jeff Ketchum will be here at 9 o'clock, and we'll talk Texas, we'll talk TCU, we'll also have a breakdown of the game a little bit later. We'll have El Presidente with his picks, we'll have some social media standouts. We got a lot of things going, so you guys don't go anywhere. Let's do a quick break, and then after that we'll talk about specs.
I'm taking the 3 points.
Yeah.
And I'm putting the pressure on Texas to score points. This is an incredibly gutsy call, especially since Kansas State's been pretty terrible in this part of the field offensively. They have not completely known who they want to be. I think they've wanted to be power run game with the quarterback, and it hasn't worked all day. And the thing that they've spread Texas out, and been very good just moving the ball like an actual offense instead of like caveman. All right, here we go. It's 4th and goal. Kansas State is going for it. They're in 12 personnel. They got 2 tight ends on the field. They got 3 backs. They got 3 to the left. There's nothing there. Howard he's going to get sacked. He throws the ball up. It's incomplete. The Longhorns have won the game in overtime.
Wow. How about that? Found a way out of it.
And they went gimmicky on their final play of the game. They ran trips to the left, a single receiver to the right, and they go right in terms of the direction, and it's covered, and there's no secondary option. And Howard is on his back foot trying to figure out what to do. He stumbles. He just throws the ball up in the air. It could have been an interception. It gets dropped, but the ball game is over. Final from DKR, 33-30. Longhorns hold on. And Chad, I would have taken the field goal.
Man, oh man, absolutely.
And that is the watch along that happens every Saturday during the games with, of course, Jeff Ketchum and Chad Hastings. So you'll be able to see that when the game starts to get kicked off. Come here on OB. If you hit subscribe to the channel, you'll know exactly when it gets started. So you can check that out. Of course, we'll have the post-game show afterwards. We'll go late on that one, but the Adam Lowy Law Firm post-game show, that will be happening today, tomorrow, after the game. So don't get ready for that one as well. And of course, today, we still got a bunch of great stuff, great shows. You guys started with Horns Up. You're here right now at 12 and noon. You got House Divided from 12 to 3, from 3:30 to 5:30. You got Football with Friends with Alex. And then at that point, our producer Break will just pass out because he's had a long week. So at that point, by the time
guess what, Anwar? It's all right because there's actually no Football with Friends today. We did our final takes on there yesterday. So Alex is hunting this weekend.
Oh, okay. So by 3:15, you'll have your first beer.
Or I'll be asleep until kickoff Saturday. Yeah, we'll be there.
No Football with Friends today. All right, well, then there you go. Then your Friday has gotten a little bit better. So congratulations on that. Speaking of getting better, guess what? Your quarterback's gotten better. Quarterback Quinn Ewers. It's funny. I was talking to you guys yesterday, right? And I was I kind of was thinking out loud, and I thought, okay. Sar's going to play the game. He's going to play it. You know what? It's going to be a game time decision. I'll just wait until it gets close, and then I'll announce. But I did put in, unless, because you just never know. And it's like when Sark's he's so funny. It's like when you expect him to go left, he goes right. When you expect him to go right, he goes left. It is about misdirection. Because I thought to myself, all right, Quinn is trending in the right direction. The thing I reported on Thursday morning, and then of course broke the news here as well. I was like, okay, Thursday was going to be like a big day of practice for him. If Quinn can go and he can throw and start throwing on the deep balls, like that's going to be the thing to test. If he passes that test, he's definitely going to start. Tuesday. Tom G, you'll appreciate it. Put the 75% thing out there. And boy, I was like, please, baby Jesus, don't let this be the thing. Don't let this be the thing that people print T-shirts from. Don't let this be the thing that people remember me. All my hard work goes down the drain when it comes to it. I'm just going to be remembered for 75%. I'm like, please don't let this boy have a setback, please. But luckily, thank goodness he didn't. I feel like I did like a bet, a gamble, and I won. And I'm just get off the table. I'm not going to do that one again. That's where I feel like. So, Sark decides yesterday. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to announce the starter, which is crazy because, he's going for the corner. It had me sweating because 75% ain't 100%. That means there's a 25% chance that you could lose, right? It's still 1 in 4. You know what I'm saying? Like 1-4 chance that like, man, this thing may not work out. And so, but thank goodness. God's good. Because boy, I'm glad that thing didn't blow up. But nonetheless, Sark decides, it's like, I'm gonna announce it. Which is interesting because you think Sark would have just said, like, I just want them to prepare for both. But he's so I don't know, like he's fascinating to me. I can't necessarily figure him out. But nonetheless, we do know Quinn is starting. I think that kind of changed. I felt like Texas was going to win the game regardless, or not. But no, I think my prediction. Let me look. My score prediction was 34-20. Even without that knowledge, because we did that show beforehand, and even without that, I thought that it wasn't for me about Quinn Ewers or Malik Murphy. It was just me thinking about how bad TCU is. And so that's kind of where my head was at. But nonetheless, I don't think my score prediction kind of changes too much. This offense scores. It's not like the offense went into a total shell when it was all said and done. Like, they still scored over 30 points in the past couple of games. So I think they just kind of, but I think you just pick up where you left off. And I think like now you have the chance to potentially do more. So let's go through a review. Talk about the things that Sarkeesian talked about yesterday. For those of you who didn't have a chance to say, like, I want to sit there and watch 15 minutes of a press conference or anything to that effect. He did say that Quinn had a great week of practice. He said him, his family, and the medical team, they felt good about where he is at health-wise. Very fortunate that Malik got the 2 starts under his belt. Knowing that, in the future, they have a quality backup that's ready. But they're fortunate in the position at the end to have Ewers out there on Saturday night. So that was there. And then he talked a little bit more about Ewers. Talked about him being very professional. He did the work that was needed. He's been very engaged with the team and the coaches. He was there on the headset. He said when he came back to practice this week, didn't feel like there was a lot of rust. Said he got stronger throwing the ball, made all the throws in a comfortable fashion this week, and managed the game plan pretty well. And again, so what the early part of the week wasn't really, they weren't letting him cut it loose. It was just, like anything, he's just throwing and kind of get into a rhythm, seeing, okay, how's that thing work for him? Thursday was like, all right, let's just see. Let's test the arm out, see what you can do. And at the end of the day, Quinn was able to do what he did, and he'll be out there starting for you. Now you feel a lot better, right? You feel a lot better about your team's chances of running the ball with Quinn than they do without it. It's funny, Blake. I'm going to show you this this tweet that I saw yesterday, and I want to give it to you. Maybe you can put this on the screen. I saw it, like I said, it was like really at night. Hold on, I'm going to put this out there. There's a funny observation, Blake. Hold on 1 second. I could have had this ready, but it's okay. You guys know how I go. Check that. See that one out there? Put that. This one made me laugh. I saw this, and this observation about Quinn had me laugh. You can just put it if you want to, Blake. You don't have to screenshot. You just put it on the screen if you want to. What's on your screen? This is a tweet from a dude named Lex. And he said, some of y'all that are happy that Quinn is back are the same MFers who wanted him benched for Hudson Card. I ain't forgot. Hook 'em. And I just did a little Stephen A. sipping on a little look like green tea or something like that. Sipping on a little tea, like, yeah, haven't forgotten that, y'all. Like, man, thank God Quinn is back. You're like, y'all the same ones that said y'all didn't want this man. Y'all the same ones that said, man, Hudson's better. Hudson reminds me of Aaron Rodgers. Hudson's so good. I challenge you to look up Hudson's stats from last week, and you're going to go, ew. Well, that was a bad call. But nonetheless, and he also talked about Ewers being pain-free. said he wasn't limited at all and that he looked great in Thursday's practice. So I thought that part was really cool. I want to kind of jump a little bit because there's something I asked Sar towards the end of that, but I want to kind of tie it into the quarterback conversation because they also had asked him about, at the end of the day, I asked him about Malik Murphy. And I wanted to know, okay, hey, Malik was able to get 2 starts under his belt. What do you want him to take away from those starts? And he said that, hey, Malik, there's a lot of good things that he did, over the past 2 weeks that he should be proud of. He said he really tried to execute the game plan at the high level. He said the arm talent, showed up. He said you should have confidence that he can make the plays at critical moments. He talked about putting up a drive in the 4th quarter against Kansas State that gave them the lead back. And they said when he takes a step back and has to look at the things that he can improve, he's got to minimize the not so great plays, eliminate the turnovers that happen. And he goes, if you eliminate that, he's played some good football. And so he says he should, so basically at the end of the day, he said Malik should be proud, has to stay focused, locked in, has to be a great teammate. And he said, and he could be needed again as early as Saturday. That was the only thing that it sounded ominous. And I was like, no, don't say that, coach. Don't say that. No. You didn't knock on anything when you said it. I think for you guys, Texas fans, I think one of your benefits as relates to Malik Murphy is I think the benefit as relates to Malik is he has 2 starts. And so when you go into next year, you have at least a quarterback who's played a couple of games, and then you have that person competing against Arch, right? And so at least you'll have that, right? At least you won't have somebody that hasn't played in anything, but you have a guy who has some growing and learning to do. But the good part is Texas won. Like that, no matter what you say as relates to the conversation, and whatever the conversation will be about Malik, always remember you got to end it with, and Texas won those games. Because Texas was able to win those games, you feel good. It's like, okay, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't like a Heisman kind of performance. He played like a young guy. That's to be expected. He played like a young quarterback. Don't judge him. And now all of a sudden, if he can grow and build off of this, take a kind of step back, learn, realize, okay, now he can watch Quinn in the games and think, okay, that's where I could have done that one a little bit better. Okay, I've got it. Let that be a learning lesson for him, learning tool for him. And then hopefully that's got his palate wet to say, you know what, I got some unfinished business here at Texas, and I want to finish this thing next year, and I want to compete for the starting job against Arch. Now, again, that entails Quinn leaving. And Quinn leaving or not leaving is a whole different conversation for another day. And that we will see. Hey, Blake, John is telling me my audio and video are a little bit out of sync. Have you noticed that at all?
It goes out of sync every once in a while and then catches back up. In the next break, if you want to leave and come back, see if we can reset it. It'll probably work a little better.
Okay, well, listen, let's just do a break now. Give me a 3-minute one so I could go get this. Thank you, John. I'll do a quick reset and then I'll finish up my thoughts. I don't want this to be a horrible show. That sucks for everybody involved. So I won't be babbling on and trying to think I have some articulate thoughts that you can't even listen to because everything's out of whack. So let me go ahead and do a reset and then I'll be right back. All right. He talked about injuries. He actually did not say specifically what Christian Jones' injury was. He acknowledged that he was injured, acknowledged that guys were fighting through injuries. We talked about Kelvin Banks going down, Henry Connor going a little bit, but no, he did not say anything about the specifics of Jones. I think that got kind of lost in the shuffle when it was all said and done.
Because kind of dishonest about that as well, because he was asked about any other injuries that we haven't talked about, and that never came up.
But he was very happy with Baxter and Brooks. Both of those got not only Baxter getting that touchdown, but he was also very happy that both guys, Baxter, I think, was close to 100. Obviously, Brooks goes over it. And so, he was really happy with being able to have those running backs back there and what they were able to do. Somebody asked him, the funniest question, somebody asked him about what's it like to have a guy like Bert Auburn for you. And he started talking about he's a guy that he has a lot of faith in. And I was like, wait a second. For real? Are you messing with us? But he did. And him having faith in Bert Auburn is probably not that I believe to be true. I just think Sark has more faith in himself as a play caller than anything else, that he's actually going to have these plays work. But I think at the end of the day, Catch, when it was all said and done, and those are kind of the only real specifics, everything. And actually, when I say real specifics, I've gone through most of the press conference. At the end of the day, he went back to hey, he felt like it was a culture win for them. He felt like, yes, sure, they could have played better. Absolutely. But he said they found the way to play better at the key moments, when it counted. He talked about being down, on the 4 or 5 yard line and then 4 straight snaps, and his defense was able to get the stop when they needed to. So, that it all goes back to, hey, it didn't go perfectly, but at the end of the day, it's 8-1. He said 8-1 sure coming to you at 8-1 sure feels a lot better than it would be at 7-2. And he's like, and I'm not going to apologize for that. All right. Y'all let me know Spectrum is okay. My Spectrum internet. You got to let me know if Spectrum internet has caught up, and let me know if this reset has done anything worth for anything at this point. So check. Let's do our test. I don't want to go too far.
We're good at the moment, Anwar. I don't know why your audio does that sometimes. It did it for 30 seconds at the beginning of the show. I saw some people chatting about it and checked it out on the stream, but we're good now anyway.
All right, well, that's good to know. Well, I'm plugged into the Ethernet and all kinds of stuff, but all right. Well, as long as we're good to go.
I don't think it's an internet issue.
You don't think it's that? It's just, you think I need a laptop or something? You think I need a laptop? Do I need to treat myself for Christmas?
May need to update the browser. I don't know. We can figure it out later, but
yeah. Okay. All right. I'll get it situated. I'll get the thing figured out. All right. As long as we're back, as long as we're good, there is that. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Yeah. If there ever is that happening, let me know. We'll just reset and we'll keep that thing going. All right. He said, so what he was asked, Sark was asked about, hey, what they learned about watching the tape of last year's TCU game. He said Quinn would tell you that it wasn't his best game, but it was a lot of time the QB takes the brunt for everybody. They just didn't play very well. Running backs didn't hit runs the way they should, didn't block things well. They all can play better. The biggest thing he took away going back from last year was that they were really, really emotional going into that game. Game day was in town. It was a night game. They got a little bit out of character. They played their best. Look, at the end of the day, I hear all he's saying, man, at the end of the day, it was just a TCU destiny. That's all that was. That. It was just that they had so many things that fell into place for them last year. That's some stuff. I don't know if you guys believe in hope. Some of you guys have been called hocus pocus or whatever it is. I just think that was a team that was just destined, that that's just what they were supposed to do. And I think they'll never do it again. So that's why I feel about TC. I feel like they caught lightning in a bottle. Every break that they could have gotten went their way. And we will never, ever see anything like that from that program in our lifetime. There you go. Coach, I simplified it for you. Just say they got lucky. Coach, I'll help you. TCU got lucky. That's all you gotta say. Just say them lucky mofos got by on us, but watch what we do this year. We're gonna curb stomp them. There you go, Coach. I help you out. I'll do your press conferences from now on. I know you like my questions. So let me go ahead and just give you the answers. He also gave some really good injury reports for you guys. Jalen Catalong, forgot Keaton Crawford are good to go, along with Christian Jones, Kelvin Banks. Those guys are also good to go as well. So there is definitely some positive injury news for you guys. You don't have to be worried or fretting. Y'all don't have to be DMing me before games, asking me if I see anybody out there warming up or anything to that effect. Like, looks like from a healthy standpoint, looks like Texas is going to be good going into that game. That's probably, you got your quarterback get back. The offensive line is healthy. And then you got Jalen Cowlon and Keaton Crawford. You got enough, and Crawford's good for special teams. That's always a good thing to have. So yes, being able to have those guys back has a difference. He was asked about Jahdae Barron, and it was interesting because he really, really you can see a smile that came on Sarkeesian's face when he asked if Jahdae Barron gets the recognition that he deserves. And he said, look, he doesn't think he gets enough credit for the player that he is on their team. Jahdae Barron, by the way, he speaks to the media once every couple of weeks. I don't know if you ever checked out any of his interviews. Pretty entertaining. Gotta admit, young man's pretty entertaining. Young man, very entertaining. He is very smart. He is very witty. He is a guy that when he gets to the league, he doesn't have to worry. He's very media savvy. So when he doesn't have to worry about like any repercussions of things that he may or may not say, he's going to be the guy that every media member goes to every Wednesday or Thursday to get a quote from. Because he's gonna give him a quote. He's a little Richard Sherman-esque in the bravado department / media savvy department. So just mark my words. A few years from now, you're gonna say, "Yeah, he warned us." And I'd say he's as necessarily as good as a player, but I'm just talking about from bravado and savviness. You'll definitely get that from him as well. He was also was asked about. He's also asked about what he wants to see from Ewers' emotion. I was thinking about a question that he was asked about giving up yards and his reaction to that. He was really not too happy about that question. But asked him what he's seen from. It wasn't me, by the way. Wasn't me. It was somebody else. I'm not naming names, though. I'm not starting anything on a Friday. We're just trying to enjoy ourselves and live a life of peace. That's what Ketch and I are doing. Like we've had so many beefs with people throughout the years. And we're kind of at that point. We're kind of like the old rappers. We don't want to beef with anybody anymore. We can. It's not what we're looking for in life. We just want to just kind of chill out and just live our stuff. But every once in a while, somebody may jump up and we just got to, beat them down. Anyway, the last thing I'll say before I bring in Ketch. Super excited. Bring in Ketch. He's asking what he's seen from Ewers emotionally. It said like he's seen a Quinn that's been very focused when it comes to the game plan mode, very dialed in. Quinn being a very competitive young man, and talked about the opportunity. He's excited about the opportunity to get out there. Being disappointed, of course, that he can't play. Said there will be an emotion for him, but he's in a good frame of mind. Okay, without further ado, let's go to our Speakeasy Lounge and bring in my man, your guy. You see him here on the channel all the time, Jeff Ketchum. Happy Friday, Jeff.
Happy Friday. I'm so glad to get the music. Sometimes I just get brought in.
Yeah.
Like, here's Ketch, and then I just pop up on the screen. I kind of like the little 5-second Speakeasy Lounge entrance. Can I get it again real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Blake, give It's very soothing.
It is very, very soothing. Oh my God. Speaking of Ketch, I gotta send you something. Blake, you're gonna you gotta put this up on the screen for Ketch. He will absolutely get a kick out of this. So when you get it, put that on the screen for him. Can you share your screen real quick, Blake? I saw this on Twitter during one of the last breaks, And Ken, you're gonna get an absolute laugh out of this. Talk about starting your day off right. Apparently, at Colorado, they put a boot. The camping police, Colorado campus police, put a boot on Shedeur Sanders' car, his Rolls Royce.
It's hard to feel sorry for some. If you are driving around in a Rolls Royce, pay your parking tickets. I mean, for the normal human being, I would be like, come on, campus cops. Let's not do that. Everybody's dealt with campus cops before. But if you have a Rolls Royce, then you should have enough money that someone pays your tickets for you.
You should have a guy. But is there any group of people that is more unforgiving than the campus police?
You know what we need to do, Anwar? One of us, maybe both of us, I don't know. Maybe during the next bye week, we need to get a guy from the UT campus police to come on the show and just explain it from their perspective.
It's a good thing because they take campus police, they take their job very seriously. Like
if I told you that the campus policeman had his wife and kids abducted and guns to their head, and he had to seek out cars with outstanding tickets to put boots on, we'd all understand that, right? We'd be like, hey, man, dude's just trying to get his wife and kids back.
Yeah.
It's not that.
No, it's not that. Is there an incentive? Like, do they hit bonuses the more that they hand out, right?
Probably. And doesn't that in itself, wouldn't you understand it a little bit more? And what if they told you that, hey, one of our favorite games as campus policemen is to either put a boot on the most famous person we can find or the richest person. If you just told me that you were playing that kind of a game, I'd be like, well, that's messed up. But you know what? Deal me in.
All right. So, Catch, last week I gave you one must go, and you kind of breezed through it. Okay. Like, I'll be honest with you. When the segment was over, I kind of was a little bit disappointed in myself because I really thought I would have gotten you a lot better. And so this week, I decided to spend a little bit more time on this segment than I did before. And so this week, I think this might be trickier. Okay. One must go. Blake, give me the first one, Blake, if you got it. Okay. One must go. The Detroit Lions, the Cleveland Browns, or the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I'll probably go Jacksonville Jaguars. There's something, look, Detroit is Thanksgiving and Barry Sanders. And that's enough for me. So they get to stay. Plus, I love their uniforms. Always have.
Really? The Honolulu blue, you like?
I dig the Detroit helmet. And then the Cleveland Browns have to stick around a little bit like back in the day if you'd put the Chicago Cubs or the Cleveland Indians. One day the Browns are going to win. And I want to be here for it.
Mm-hmm.
I have no emotional attachment towards Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence can go play somewhere else. Jacksonville, kind of a shitty town. I mean, it's okay. But the first time I ever went to Jacksonville, I was like, this is it? It's not Tallahassee, right? Yeah. You go to Tallahassee and your idea of what Florida is changes forever because you've seen so many you've seen them show you South Beach and all of the real pretty areas of Florida. And then you're shown Tallahassee and you're like, oh, so this is really just South Georgia. I it. And Jacksonville's okay, but you just have these ideas of what the best cities in the state of Florida are. Jacksonville's not it for me.
It's funny. It's funny you bring up Florida State, Catch. For years, do you know what Bobby Bowden's secret recruiting tool was?
Yeah, man. He let the dude show up on campus, And from the moment they hit campus to the moment they leave, they're down at Florida A&M.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you did know that. I didn't know if you knew that, but yes, for the moment they showed it, be like, hey, see you later. And I'll see you back on Sunday.
Yes.
and they're like, man, I love Florida State. So it's like you go to Florida State and you party at Florida A&M, and that's how they did it for the years. So that's pretty good. I didn't know you know that, but that was pretty good. Good props to you, Catch. All right, I got a second one for you. Okay. I tried my best on this one. Okay?
I got to be honest, though. That one was easy.
Okay, all right, fine. Let's do this one. One must go. A marriage proposal at a sporting event, somebody else's wedding, or the loudspeaker on an airplane.
Somebody else's wedding is really easy here. Do you realize how despicable that is? I think a marriage proposal at a sporting event is a bad idea. Like, it's not, I can't imagine that many women have ever grown up dreaming of the day that they were proposed to at a Longhorns game. But that idea goes to heaven compared to doing it at somebody else's wedding and upstaging the bride on her day. Because anybody that goes to that wedding will tell that story. Meaning you stole the bride's day so that you could propose to someone that could have been proposed to at any place whatsoever. That is devious. You go straight to hell. You bypass like the lines and everything. You get to go in the Hitler line straight in.
Bunny B said he had a friend who proposed to his girl on the field at DKR at one point. Wait, was that during a game, Money B, or was that did they like do a private session? Because it's two totally different things, by the way. Catch, if I had taken the loudspeaker on an airplane out, because the one I had, that was a last minute one, and the one I originally had was funeral. Would that have switched?
No, I still would do somebody else's wedding, because at least at the funeral, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a bad idea, but at least something good came out of this really bad thing, right? We're saying goodbye to somebody. Everybody's really sad. We might be offended by it, but there is a little bit of levelness of sweetness to the proceedings. I don't get it. I don't get it. But again, you cannot, you just can't take the day away from the, can you imagine the bride? The bride whose friend, and don't let it be the groom's friend. It needs to be her friend, because she will almost, by like just connection. You invited that asshole to our wedding. Did you know about this? Like the degree of trouble that you would be in if it was your friend, it would have to be her friend, because your wedding is doomed.
Yes.
If 30 minutes after I do, someone drops a will you. Oh, no.
Okay. All right.
Marriage is hard enough by itself, Anwar. You know.
Oh, I know. I've felt that multiple times. So I know.
Thing you need is to give the new bride a reason to just be mad. No.
Okay. All right. This one I'm not convinced will be as tough.
Okay.
But I tried. Okay. One must go. Godfather, Godfather 2, or Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
I
realize that won't be a popular decision for some, because there is a sense that Goodfellas might be the best movie of the 1990s. I mean, it is an all-time classic. What I'm really leaning into, though, is that I'm a Godfather and Godfather 2 guy. I don't care how I watch it. I don't care when I come in. I don't care if they do that thing on whatever channel it is, where they put the two together and then they put them in chronological order. So you're going back and forth from the Godfather, Godfather 2. I don't care. If it's either Godfather or Godfather 2, that's my jam. And it's unfortunate for Goodfellas that's just the company that you've kept here, because the only movie that you could have put in there that might have made me budge a little bit might be like Casablanca. Like if that was there, I've got to keep Casablanca, at which point I would get rid of probably Godfather 2. I like 1 a little bit more. I like watching Michael turn to the dark side.
Where, if I said Goodfellas, Irishman, and Scarface, which one would have to go out of that one?
You know, the thing is, I've only seen The Irishman once. It took like 9 days to watch it. But I've only seen it once. The thing is, I wanted to go back to it though, because I've heard people, you know, I'm a big movies guy, and I hear people in podcasts and stuff say things like, The Irishman is actually a classic. And the truth of the matter is, I don't really watch Scarface. Like I did when I was 25, but now I'm 47, and I just don't find. So the question would be, if I could only watch one of those 2 movies for the rest of time, one time, I think I would pick The Irishman, because I don't remember it all that well. I remember it being okay, but now that I've seen it once, I want to see it again because I've heard so many people talk so well about it in the year since it's passed. So I would get rid of Scarface, even though I think I would have to say I enjoy Scarface significantly more than The Irishman. It's a little homework assignment that I have that I can't dodge. I will one day return to The Irishman. I don't know if I'm ever going to watch Scarface again.
Wow, that's interesting. Ironically, I probably have seen Scarface more than most of them. Scarface and Godfather 2. And Godfather 2 probably. And actually, I've seen a ton of Goodfellas. Goodfellas is always on.
When did you last watch Scarface?
2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
Isn't it weird at the end when Tony's sister's like, "You want to have sex with me? Here I am, Tony. Have at it." And you're just like, no, he just his best friend. And he's best friend he knows is a bad guy. Like, you know, it's weird.
The sister thing got weird. The sister thing got really weird, you know, and you know, because she started innocent to like going to the bathroom with the guy to, you know, the sister kind of became pretty bratty. Like, and then she's like, now she messes around with, like, you know who your brother is. And like you put that dude in that situation with your brother. Like, come on, man. Like,
the thing is, that was like Manny was his best friend.
Yeah.
So the question is, how bad a company are you keeping with regards to friends if the idea of your best friend marrying your sister makes you want to kill him? At that point, Tony's going to start picking better friends, because this is what we do. Like, friends meet family, and like, I don't have a lot of family, but I watch a lot of TV and movies. And then in the TV and the movies, it's always the friends and the family that end up hooking up. And it's like, well, how did you and Bob end up being like brother-in-laws together? And it's like, oh, well, when we were in high school, my sister was 9, and then she grew up, and then they got together, and like, he's my best friend, so I just want them to be happy. Tony is like, bang, bang. He killed that dude right away. Before Manny could even say, she makes me want to be a better man, and like, I want to go clean. And
yes,
before he could like spill it out, he got a cap put in his ass. So
and the crazy thing is, it would have been the opportunity to keep it in the family. If you really think about it, it'd be like, you know what? You're my guy. This is my sister. You know what? This is all in the family. He goes, I have kids with 2 of my friends.
See?
Wait, 2 different ones?
Yes.
What?
You went plural there, Anwar. He did not go singular.
He didn't say 2 kids. He says, I have kids with 2 of my friends' big sisters. Damn, Darwin. Darwin was loving whenever his sister's friends was coming by, and vice versa. Clearly, this is. And
I have to admit, when I was in high school, I made out with probably like 4 or 5 sisters of friends.
Yeah.
Just in their house. I can remember one time I was working at Bert's Barbecue. We went out behind the back and made out behind the restaurant. Like, it's like a time, it's one of those things that happens. If you're a young buck, say for some reason you're watching in high school or college right now, and you don't know this, you need to be protective of your sister because your slime ball friends will absolutely don't ever be like, oh, I'm going to go to sleep. If you just want to hang out, my sister's up. Like, don't ever do that.
In other words, there'll never be any sleepovers at the Ketchum's house. Hendrix ain't bringing his boys over. It just like, hey man, I got like 6 guys. We just decided we're hanging out this weekend.
I made out with a friend's sister once, and then afterwards, like the next day, I was like, hey, I'm really sorry. That shouldn't have happened, and it can't happen again. No hard feelings. And she told me that that's okay. There's another boy that I like, and you were good practice for when I make out with him.
Damn!
I was like, hey, don't hate the player, hate the game.
She twisted the knife.
No, I was okay with it. It was like, oh, I was your vessel. Perfectly fine.
Wow. All right. Speaking of vessels, all right, the last 2 have to be more challenging. Okay. All right.
I can't help it if I'm snap decision guy. I don't mess around.
This one's going to be interesting. All right. You ready?
Yes.
One's got to go. All right. Number 4, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Lil Kim.
This one's a little harder because I don't care as much. Like, Lil Kim can stay. She's in. Who can, Cardi B. Who do I like the most between Cardi B and Nicki? You know what? Isn't Cardi B into history? I think she's actually really smart and she studies history. I don't think Nicki has a smart gene like Cardi does. So Nicki can bounce. One's got to go. Nicki goes because I'm pretty sure Cardi B is a student of history.
Okay, well, let's look this up. Before we let me do Cardi B, student of history. Let's just see.
I think she likes history a lot.
Let's see. Hold on. Cardi B's high school history teachers, advisors, detractors to
I'm telling you,
shut up and take a seat. Really? So,
she's obsessed with like the history of war. She's into history.
Her teacher says, for those of you on my feed who are trashing Cardi B for representing a political voice, A, she probably scored higher than you on the U.S. History Regents exam and was in my AP government class. B, you're not nearly, this is crazy. I'm learning something new today. B, you're not nearly as busy as her. And what have you done to advance political discourse in this country? And C, she has a natural platform and is using it to speak about things that are important. Why can't we respect that? STFU and take a seat. Cardi B was in AP government.
I'm telling you, like it was on. She got some love recently because she was speaking somewhere and like just dropped some random history knowledge in somebody in something that she was talking about, and people like were hating on her, and then people who knew the history were like, "That's really impressive, actually." That that she even knows that kind of obscure old history. Like, yeah, she's a student. I like that about her. She uses her brain to like be really smart about history. I can respect that. So
Nicki goes.
Nicki goes because Cardi B is into history, which has no impact on me whatsoever, but I just respect the fact that she's such a history buff.
Why does Lil' Kim stay?
Confirmation bias. You know, like I cared about her when she was coming up.
So the whole like Biggie relationship with Biggie, or did
I
you
have
have a
history
poster?
with her. Like Cardi B and Nicki, I know who they are. I know their songs, but those aren't my bops. Like I've never once you could get into my car and I've got Spotify on and you're like, oh, you're listening to that new Nicki track. No, that's never happened. But like back in the day, Lil' Kim was in my musical world, in my orbit. Those two are just in my conscience. But like Lil' Kim's in my soul.
All right, number 5. Let's see if for the record, at least that one finally had you thinking for a second. All right, so for the record, it was a better question. One must go. Number 5: Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Johnny Manziel.
Okay, so what this really comes down to is, do I get rid of the guy that I think's a major asshole, or do I get rid of the guy that you think is a major asshole?
Yeah,
I'm boy, that's tough. I think Kyler Murray is an asshole, but I think Baker Mayfield may be an asshole and a scumbag. So at which point I'm going to say Baker Mayfield has to go.
Well, you know my vote, right?
I know.
You know my vote. It's Baker 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. Can't stand that dude. Can't stand him or his crew. F all of y'all guys. Baker, he's trash. Tell me, I've never heard one good story about Baker Mayfield in Austin. Not
Well, I
one.
heard one.
What was?
One time he was out like downtown having a good time, having some drinks, and like he and his crew saw an Austin sports writer and like tried to give him some lip, and that made me like him a little bit. But other than that,
You mean him and his crew were threatening to jump an Austin sports writer?
you know, funny thing about words, you can leave some in and leave some out, and they still kind of end up being the same story. Yeah.
That him and his crew, and then he had to be held back by his security guard. So because as that Austin sports writer may or may not have even flinched and looked on stuff, then when his crew would grab my arm about something or whatever.
See, here's the thing where that guy's got to be careful, because you never know when that Austin sports writer just on any given weekend might have an NFL Hall of Fame defensive tackle in the bathroom and come out and see that some young dudes are trying to give his boy some trouble. I'm just saying. That actually would have been the funniest part of the story, was that if certain members of that sports writer crew had just been on standby that night.
Yes. You know what's even worse? Just be careful that if a certain sports writer actually still has a portion of the video of that night that he has saved, just
in case you ever need it, or he ever needs it. Excuse me, sorry.
Just in case. But I have said I don't want to be a part of the story, so I've let it be. But just know that it can happen at any point. So there you go. All right. Hey, at least the last two made you think a little bit, right? So
not really. Like Baker, the one that made me think was Cardi B and Nicki, because I wasn't just sure. I did have to process that a little bit.
All right. Well, one out of 4 is better. I mean, so I'm 1 out of 10 at this moment, right? It's a low percentage, but nonetheless, it leads to usually a very entertaining conversation. So there is that as well. Catch, are you entertained knowing that Quinn Ewers is going to be back versus TCU this weekend? I know when we did our Prize Pick show, you kind of thought it might be a closer game, thinking that maybe it might be Malik. but once, of course, we did the show, and then, of course, Steve Sarkeesian does the thing that Cats can't figure the guy out. I mean, 1 week you can ask him about injuries, and he's like, everybody's good, and then certain guys don't play. And then why you ask Steve Sarkeesian those questions? He's not going to tell you about injuries. And then you would think in this instance that he would play the shell game of make him prepare for both quarterbacks. Okay, it could be either one. Game time decision.
That would certainly be the way he goes.
Game time decisions seem to be the default here, right? That seemed to be the default play. And then it decides, unsolicited, as you pointed out on your show. Oh, yeah, by the way, Quinn's starting. So give me your thoughts on Quinn starting, and does it change your perspective what you think could happen this weekend?
Well, I think there's one of a couple of reasons why I think that he made the decision to just go ahead and announce it. Even if he knew that Quinn was going to play and start, like you said, he likes the competitive, make him think about it until the very end. We know Sark likes that. I mean, there are days when he's like, you ask him an injury question, and he's like, as if I would tell you. There are people who are watching and listening, and why would I help them? He's pretty honest. His head lives in that space. But it didn't for this. So I think it may have been one of the following two things or both. One, when I saw Steve Sarkeesian yesterday, before he ever announced that Quinn was going to be the starter on Saturday, I typed into our Slack channel, Sark looks tired.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sark's a good-looking guy. He's always got a tan. He doesn't look bad. And I don't know that he looked bad yesterday, but I observed he looked like a man that hadn't slept a lot this week. So I think maybe selfishly saying that maybe helped him sleep better last night. Maybe. But I think maybe most importantly, I think he thinks his team needed the shot in the arm. I think getting that out there and having his team know your quarterback, I think Xavier Worthy needs it. I think Jatavian Sanders has got to be a frustrated guy right now. He's caught 10 passes in the last 5 or 6 games combined. This was a guy who's targeted 5 times early in the season, and now he can't get the ball at all. And not all of that is Malik Muhammad's fault, but it's the thing that's been happening most recently. Somehow Xavier Worthy has 25 targets over the course of the last 2 games. He's caught roughly 70 yards of passes during that time, which means he's averaging roughly 3 yards per target.
Wow.
Over the course of the last not 3 yards per catch, 3 yards per target.
Wow.
So it hasn't been going the way that I know that he would want it to go. And I think going on the road, this team will just feel more confident. I think everything about thinking they've got their whoopee blanket back will make a big change for this team's mental mindset. And I think it's also a chance. It's like, hey, the starting quarterback's back, no excuses. I want to see us play a badass game and not a badass quarter or a badass quarter and a half or a badass half. I want 4 quarters. You got your quarterback back. You got Christian Jones is back. Catalan is back. Crawford is back. We got everybody back. No excuses. Go beat their brains in. And that isn't something, and I've been harping on it all week. Texas has got to start playing better football. It's got to start looking like a team that when the game's over, the national media goes, that team can win a national championship. And I think when we talk about Texas, we think back to the month of September and we go, that team in September looked like it could win a national championship. I don't know that the team in October and so far in November, we feel quite the same way. So you got everybody back. I think Quinn Ewers coming back gives this team a reason to eliminate excuses. There should be none. Go beat the cockroaches' brains out.
But with the quarterback situation, what do we make of the 2 games that Malik played in? And does this help at all, do you think, in the conversation as far as trying to set up something, the Malik versus Arch battle next year? Do you think him actually getting in some games this year, him knowing he was the clear number 2 this year, do you think that helps Sark when he sits down with him after the season to say, hey, this is, you did good, and now expecting this battle here? Does that enough essentially to fight off the portal for Malik?
No, but it helps. It helps. The thing is, you can go to Malik and say, "Hey, you're going to be in this battle. You're the guy with game experience. You're the guy that has played, actually thrown passes in games, and you've taken snaps. So, like, that's really valuable. That's an edge that you have on Arch Manning that he can't replicate." Then I think you go have a meeting with Arch and you go, "Arch, don't even sweat it. You saw his numbers, right? He wasn't even good. We had to rush our quarterback back with an injury to get him on the field to play a 4-5 TCU game because we couldn't completely trust going another week with him." I think you can make out of those performances whatever narrative you want, and I think you can twist them so that they're realistically, I think, believable. I do think it's an edge going into next season that he has a little bit of experience where Arch doesn't, but it wasn't the kind of overall quality experience that truly gives a guy a leg up. His quarterback passer rating right now is worse than the guy they'll play this weekend, Josh Hoover. 117. It's like, hey, good job, Malik. You were just as good as Case McCoy was when he was the quarterback of the Longhorns. Or, hey, remember when Tyrone Swoops had that horrible game against TCU at the end of the 2014 season, and his quarterback rating was, guess what? Right about 117. That's how good you were. Look, Malik Murphy deserves a lot of credit for helping the Longhorns get through the 2 games that he did, especially the Kansas State game. That wasn't a complete gimme by any stretch of the imagination, but he really didn't play well in large portions of those games. It's a reminder, not that he sucks. It's not that. You can see the guy dripping with talent. It's a reminder, though, that, like, it's a process. And I don't know that he was really any more ready to play than Arch Manning, but he survived and probably is a little bit more prepared than Arch Manning. Just, it's the thing that we can't know is what either of those 2 players look like 9 months from now. So it is a little bit of a guessing game. But I don't know how if Malik feels like in May that it's going to be Arch, then, like, he'll bounce. And he won't think, well, I played these 2 games. It'll matter a whole lot more about what happens in the spring. How do those reps go? And we have these internal dialogues. I can remember being, we've all played sports, and unless you're freaking Mike Trout in baseball or, Randy Moss or something like that in football, we've all had a moment where a guy that we're competing with, either for positioning in the lineup or in basketball, or pick whatever sport you want. Usually you run into somebody at some point who's a little bit better than you doing something. And you have that internal dialogue where it's like, oh, well, that guy's older and he is, coach likes him a little bit more, or he's just a little bit better and I got to keep trying to do more. I can remember being a sophomore in high school and, like, we had a senior center and I was a sophomore, and it was like, okay, I have to be better than him. And I think we all have these internal dialogues, and I think Malik will have that. And so some level, you won't be able to bullshit him. He'll know. They almost always know. And it's a rare situation. You think back to the Hudson Card Casey Thompson battle. I swear that thing was done before those 2 guys ever showed up at camp. It was going to be Hudson Card. And, to Sark's credit, he was able to run the clock down to a level where Casey had to stick around for a season. The time got the play clock got too close to zero. I wonder if Malik will do the same thing if he feels like in the spring that there's a real problem. But at this point, I still think Arch Manning's going to be the starter for a million reasons, and a lot of them have nothing to do with fairness. But Malik has played. I wish he had done a little bit more, because I think he exits the lineup with Sarkeesian glad that he's exiting the lineup. If you were Malik and you really wanted to leave the kind of mark that would be an impression next year, it would be like, Quinn's back, but man, Malik was doing a great job.
Yeah.
That wasn't said makes me think this just won't have a major impact next season.
It is interesting. Now, the interesting part, though, Catch, and it's kind of a two-parter for you, is, yeah, I think a lot of this hinges on Quinn and Quinn's decision, right? As far as, leave or go. Because I don't know, we know what the plan is. You and I have done this long enough to know that sometimes plans change. And people have a plan of how many kids announce on signing day that says for the next 3 or 4 years, I'm going to take my talents to such and such school. And then we never really hear from those kids again, right? And so plans change, things change. What needs to happen, do you think, over the next 3, 4, 5 games, whatever this ends up being, 6, for Quinn to feel good and his people to feel like, hey, leaving Texas makes the most sense, that he's going to be a high draft pick, like all that, like what needs to happen over the remainder of the season for that plan to take place?
Look, I talked to somebody last night that felt like no matter what, Quinn Ewers is gone. And the reason why, in his estimation, besides the other things that this guy knew, primarily that leaving has been, people that know that situation even moderately have a strong sense that that Quinn most likely will leave. There's a real feeling behind the scenes that if you eliminate Quinn for a moment, I heard last night Jonathan Brooks is gone. I heard Xavier, Mitchell, Whittington. Person I talked to feels like Sanders will go, even though Sanders this season hasn't gone great. But there's a real concern that at the end of the year, all of the guys making NFL decisions are going to look around the locker room and they're going to go, all my homies are gone. And there's the guy that I talked to last night was like, look, even if Quinn's on the fence, is he going to come back next year and play with completely new guys? He will have an offensive line that will be very, very good. But other than Jonte Cook, who will he have even played in a game with that he like ever? And how many passes has Ewers really thrown to Jonte Cook? So there's just a sense that the NFL is going to wipe away the top part of the locker room. I can't envision a world where Quinn Ewers stays back and is one of the only guys that stays. So I think there's a good chance that he'll be caught up in the momentum that a lot of guys who will be eligible for the NFL draft. I think the NFL draft is going to take a big chunk out of this team. I think there will be a sense before they can do things in the portal that this will be a bit of a rebuilding team. And I think if you're a quarterback and you're trying to make a decision about whether or not you should or should not come back, I think breaking in an entirely new load of offensive skill positions while going into the SEC, that's not optimal or ideal. So look, I think Quinn Ewers, part of the reason why he's coming back is he wants to be able to make an impression on NFL scouts about how good he is. What would change that would be him kind of falling on his face and having no momentum going into the draft process. Hey, he played his 3 worst games of the season in his last 3 games. Like that would be the kind of thing that might slow things down. But I'm expecting Quinn Ewers to go pro, like I'm expecting at this point all of the skill guys who played this season to go pro.
It's interesting. So you think your sources are saying NFL might wipe this thing out. So
For 2024, yes.
2024. So we're talking Tavondre, we're talking Murphy, we're talking. I mean, we know Jalen Ford's, or obviously he's a senior, he's out. But we're also talking. You talk Jatavius, you talk like a lot of the underclassmen who have the opportunity to go. Xavier, Adonai,
and the real concern is, let's say they've got 9 guys. I don't even know. We could count. Let's count them out real quick. Underclassmen. So okay. Ewers, Brooks, Worthy, Mitchell, Sanders, Murphy. That's 6. Sorrell, although I wouldn't think he'd go pro. Barron, 8. Is there anybody else?
Did you say Sweat? I don't know if you said Sweat.
Well, Sweat's a senior.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm including underclassmen that will be making decisions.
I got Quinn, Brooks, Worthy, that's 3. You said Murphy is 4.
Mitchell Sanders is 6.
Yeah, Sanders 6. Murphy 7, and you have Sorrell as if he had 8.
I mean, if 6 of those 8 guys are going pro, what do the other 2? If the other 2 guys are on the fence, I think there's a concern that they'll look around the locker room and go, "Hey, everybody's gone. Next we ain't winning a championship next season. That was this season." And I think there's a concern that those guys will then follow the momentum, and then it won't be like, well, 4 guys are leaving and 4 guys are staying. I also am hearing, look, the rich dudes around the program got to start ponying up, because Texas will need it probably takes $20 million a year at the highest level for recruiting, portal, maintaining your roster. To be at a top 5, top 10 level, it takes a lot of money annually. And I think Texas may be in a position where, at some point they got to start getting more money from their contributors in NIL, or the ship's going to start leaking a little bit. And I think this season, this offseason is going to be a real good test of that. Because I think if you're going to keep some of these guys, it's going to take a lot of money, more money than they gave Tavondre Sweat to come back. And I don't know if that money's there. I don't know how. I mean, it remains to be seen. But one of the things I've said about Georgia, A&M, and Texas, I think they've been the 3 superpowers in NIL for the last couple of years. A&M and Georgia, from an enthusiasm standpoint, have more rich guys donating big sums of money than Texas does. Texas has a couple of guys who are doing incredible work, but without them doing all of the heavy lifting, what happens next, and we may find that out in the next offseason. At some point, the wealth, when Texas was going to Vail in the offseason to meet with rich guys, to implore them to give more money to NIL, they need some of those dudes to be like, "Hey, thanks for dinner, but we're good. This isn't where we want our money to go." At some point, I think that's going to be an issue. And for the first time, I've gotten indications this week that it might be time for some of these other dudes to start being major contributors. And if they don't, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, because the guys who might be day 2, day 3-ish picks, you got to basically almost throw an NIL deal in front of them that says, "Hey, we'll match your 4th round money, or we'll give you a little bit more than your 4th round money." And it sounds like there's going to have to be decisions made as to, okay, who are the most valuable guys that we need to try to keep, and it may only at that point maybe 2, 3 that you say, all right, you're really more like a day 3 guy. Is an NIL package to keep you around, right? It's out, or you may have to make some decisions. Say, gotta let that one go. But it sounds like there's tough decisions to be made.
Well, I think Byron Murphy was the number 1 guy on the retainment list. But I think there's a sense now that they won't be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
That he's playing at such a level. And my eyebrows kind of raised this week when I heard Sarkeesian say, let me put it to you like this. If I had said on my show, I think Anwar is one of the 2 most valuable sports writers in America. And there's not a better college football sports writer on the planet as good as that guy. Well, you'd be like, let me write that down. Let me clip that so that when I go into negotiations with you, whatever, I can just hit play. And it'd be like, Anwar Richardson is one of the 2. Like, when he came out and said that Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat were the 2 best interior defensive linemen in the country, there was a part of me that was like, well, if you want to keep Murphy, you've just told him how much you think he's worth. How much is that worth? Maybe that's a concession from Sark in some way that they probably won't keep Murphy, right? It's safe to say the quiet part out loud. And normally, if you know you're going to be in negotiations with somebody at some point, you don't give all of your leverage away and say the single most complimentary thing. Because if you say to Byron Murphy, you're one of the 2 best interior linemen in college football, what are you really telling him?
Well, you tell him it is value, but here's the question though. Is that message to the donors? The same way Saban will put certain things out there, and he ain't talking to necessarily that crowd of people who's in front of him, but he's talking to the rich guys, letting you guys know, hey, we need more money. Is that signaling the alarm to the rich folks that says, hey, these guys are pretty valuable, going to need your help?
Maybe, but the thing is, if you tell a guy he's one of the 2 best players in the country at his position and he's draft eligible, what you're really telling him is you need to go pro.
Well, sure.
Defensive tackles as a commodity are worth their weight in gold.
Absolutely.
So what he really told Byron Murphy this week in front of the whole public was, we think Byron Murphy is a 1st-round player right now. So, I think to keep a Murphy, you're probably talking about $1 million ish.
Yeah.
Because there are guys already on this team that are getting high 6 figures in NIL money. And I'm not even including Quinn Ewers. Quinn's in his own Quinn world. He and his family and his agents have done a great job of like creating a profitable situation for him and the freedom of which he can involve himself in all kinds of products. And like, what's the company that they have? Is it a sports drink company?
I know they had a clothing apparel company before, because it looked like Jumpman.
Yeah.
So I know there's a clothing apparel. I think you might be right about the sports drink. He has a lot of different hands in a lot of different things.
So like they got their thing going, and Quinn's got equity in a lot of the stuff that he's involved in. But there are other guys that said, Mattress Mac is Kelvin Banks's guy this year.
Yeah. And
like, you probably need a Mattress Mac to be Byron Murphy's guy next year, but probably even more so. So, the changing dynamics in college football are that if you're going to be a top of the line program, it's going to cost money in recruiting in NIL. It's going to cost money in the retention of your team. And we've seen guys like Jahdae Barron, Xavier Worthy, even if they haven't completely gone into the portal, we've known that their names, it's been mentioned, rumored, reported, that those guys have at least considered it. You're going to have that every year with your best players. And you got to reward those guys. Those guys have to get NIL deals. Those guys have to feel like if they're in Austin, they're making as much as they can somewhere else. And then if you want to go into the portal, you got to be able to hustle and hang. And it wasn't an accident that Texas was able to get Adonai Mitchell in the portal. Well, Adonai Mitchell might be a first-round draft pick this year. So if and when he leaves, you want to replace him with a guy who's on the level of what Adonai Mitchell was a year ago when he was at Georgia, then that doesn't just happen for free. And we can't be naive as to be like, well, Sark's a great recruiter and all he's got to do is turn on the charm. I mean, yeah, that's part of it, but I've yet to hear of the big time guy that Sark landed with just his charm. I mean, the NIL stuff matters. It always does. And it will continue to do so.
Because kind of along those lines, but also kind of from a big picture perspective, I want to kind of get your take on this. Sark, and he's having a good season, obviously. This team's in competing for a playoff, title, Big 12 title, so on and so forth. One thing we've seen the history at UT, Catch, is that when a coach has one good season, the athletic department, the AD just says, I got to give you an extension, right? We saw that with Shaka. We saw that with Tom Herman. Got to give it was one good year. We got to do something and tack on some more years and tack on some more money. But NIL is a thing because you and I also know, Catch, that people who the salaries aren't necessarily coming from the university, coming from the people who cut the checks, okay? Right. And those guys have got to spread a lot of money around, all right? And now NIL is taxing these people who cut the checks. What does Texas do with Sark if he has the continued success? Because we look around the landscape of college football, you look at Brian Kelly and where that LSU is at that 6-3. You look at Lincoln Riley, all the money that he's received. He just fires Alex Grinch. Like, what does Texas do with Sark? What do you simply say, hey, congratulations on doing the job that we've paid you to do? Or do they say we got to tack on a little bit more?
Well, they're going to tack on a little bit more, no question about it. The thing is, and I don't think the University of Texas has done anything wrong, right? So I'm going to describe the kind of corner that they're currently in with regards to this situation. But I think the right move was you got to let Sarkeesian prove it a little bit. I mean, you can't just give this guy an extension with more money without seeing some proof in the pudding. But he's legitimately having a great year. They're in the playoff conversation. And as you mentioned, there are other guys with maybe bigger reps than Sark who aren't having great season. So what does that do? I think it elevates Sark's positioning in his own, group of peers. So his stock has never been higher than it is right now because Sark has finally, after a decade of head coaching, put together a team on the field that the entire nation can he's beaten Alabama. He's gone on the road. He's won that game. They're in the playoff mix. I mean, they're going to have to pay Steve Sarkeesian. They're going to have to give him more years. They're going to have to give him more money. At this point, he's a steal at around a little less than $6 million a year when his peers are, in some cases, a guy like Dabo or maybe Jim Harbaugh, ironically, on his next deal at Michigan, might be making twice that. Mm-hmm. So Sarkeesian is going to be like, pay me. And Texas will have to pay him. I mean, yes, they'll look at other coaches who they've recently given extensions to after one big season, and they feel like that worked against them. I just don't know that they have the leverage not to do that. And Sarkeesian and his lawyer right now feeling really good about their negotiating position on a new deal. I suppose, again, I don't know what else Texas could have done, but this is where they are. They're going to have to pay that man his money.
All right, last thing, Catch, and I'll let you go. I don't need you to handicap it, but do you feel good about Texas over the next 3 games? How do you feel about Texas and their chances of running the table, especially if Quinn Ewers stays healthy over the next 3 games, to operate under that premise?
I think they're going to do it, but I think the next 2 weeks will be really tricky. I won't be surprised if against both TCU and Iowa State that the games play closer than Vegas perhaps thinks. And look, it's not crazy to think that what's the line up to? 12.5 right now, Blake? Give me a head nod. Is that about right? Yeah, 12.5. So, Texas, it could be 29-24 with 3 minutes to go in the game. And it's like, oh my God. And then Texas scores late and they cover. And it's like, well, they covered the spread, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't a white knuckle affair that caused some sweat on the eyebrows. I think they're probably going to have some sweat on the eyebrow games against. Now, look, they could blow both of those teams out. It's not because TCU or Iowa State are juggernauts by any stretch of the imagination, but it's college football. Yeah. And, what we don't, we will be getting a Quinn Ewers on Saturday on the road, who only 3 days before was throwing the ball downfield at all. So I don't know if we're getting the best of Quinn Ewers. I think if we see the best of Quinn Ewers, Texas wins these games fairly easily. But I don't know what I can take to the bank and what I can't take to the bank. But what I usually can take to the bank is that in college football in November, games that shouldn't be close get close all the time. All the time. There are teams every year that think that they're on their way to being in the playoff, and then they play a game. And I remember when Louisville had Lamar Jackson, and they ran into an unranked Houston team led by Tom Herman. And Houston won that game. And they shouldn't have.
Yes.
One team had Lamar Jackson, the other team didn't. Right there.
That's the best analysis I've heard, by the way. That is the absolute best analysis I've heard.
Sometimes that's exactly the way it goes. And so I'm not picking Texas to lose. But I do think the games in the next couple of weeks are going to be tricky. And Texas is going to have to play a fairly reasonable high brand of football to ensure that they get through the next couple of 2-3 weeks. But I think they will. And then we get to a Big 12 championship game where they may be playing a white-hot Oklahoma State team. And I'm fascinated by that game if and when we get to it because it's Gundy versus Sarkeesian. And I kind of feel like the winner of that championship game could come down to whose team's coaches do the best job in a short amount of preparation. You're playing on a week. Texas may not even know if they're in that game until they beat Texas Tech. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't have started preparing for it, but the overall amount of focus they'll have spent a lot less time focusing on Oklahoma State than they would have, say, Alabama, right? So during the offseason, you're constantly scouting that game. Oklahoma State's not on the Texas schedule, and they're not even officially on the schedule now. So, I think that'll be like, how good are your coaches? How mentally prepared and focused and sharp and mature are your players? And, we're still learning that about this Texas team. But every week where they go and clear a hurdle, and this weekend's a perfect example, we'll learn a little bit more about this team and its preparation and how ready it is.
Oklahoma State faces a gauntlet of UCF, Houston, and BYU to close out the season. So I think we know who's going to be there, right?
But to Oklahoma State's credit, just like Texas, they've 3 ranked teams in the current college football top 25. They beat Oklahoma, Kansas, and Kansas State. So they cleared their gauntlet.
Yeah.
Maybe the reward for them is you went ahead and played everybody but Texas that matters and beat them. And now they get to play the little sisters of the poor. Texas is, they got a hold of Baylor. They got a hold of Houston. They haven't had the full gauntlet of the newbie teams, but I feel like Oklahoma. The thing about Oklahoma State is a month ago, there's no way we would have believed that they would clear the gauntlet and not have at least another loss.
So true.
I'm not a Mike Gundy fan, but man, that dude can coach some football and never let the idea that I don't like him just as a dude interfere with how well I think he coaches, because I think he's fantastic as a football coach.
All right. Well, Texas Boy puts in the chat that Texas has covered more times than not this year, but Blake went and did the research, and then he can come to find out Texas is actually 4-1 against the spread via covers.com.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, before you would have seen that stat, what would you have thought?
I would have probably guessed that Texas Boy was right, to be quite honest with you. I would have thought that they would have been at. I mean, Houston, of course, would have not been a cover at that point.
Wyoming.
And then Wyoming. But yeah, I probably would have gone I would have probably thought maybe they didn't cover twice. Did
Texas cover Rice?
Blake, do you have that?
Who are the 4 teams that they didn't cover?
Let's see what Blake has.
Let me see. I'll pull up this window. We can look at it real quick. Hold on.
I mean, it would definitely be Houston, right? I mean,
definitely not
Houston. Hell, I can't read that.
Hey. I told Blake, I got old eyes, man. I don't.
Let's see. Okay, so yeah, it was
they
not a cover against
Rice.
Didn't cover against Rice. Covered against Alabama. Did not cover versus Wyoming.
Did not cover against Oklahoma. Duh.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, Houston, and a push.
Okay, we hit the games right then.
Yeah.
Rice, Wyoming, Houston, and Oklahoma.
And the under has hit in 6 out of the 9.
You know why? Because this Texas offense hasn't been the juggernaut that we thought this team would be scoring 40+ every week, and it hasn't quite been that.
Wow. All right, Catch, what do you guys got going at noon? You and Chad, what you guys got for us today?
We're going to have a little fun today. For the first time since the show returned, since Chad and I have come back, our old producer, Dustin McComas, is going to join us today. The gang's getting back together, so we're going to have a little McComas, Hastings, Ketchum love triangle, and we'll be doing all the things that there'll be silliness. We'll do our normal, completely off the rails commentary, certainly on a Friday. And in fact, the show ended yesterday, and Blake told us right after the show, man, that felt like a Friday show. So we're probably going to have our second consecutive Friday show, but this time on a Friday.
Fantastic, because Dustin's great. I love Dustin. Dustin's really now just relegated to seeing his pictures on Facebook and not necessarily getting his sports takes. But it's good to see Dustin. I'll be curious. I'll be look forward to watching that, see how he's doing in his new role over there. It's always good when someone mentions, a guy used to work here, and people around you say, "Oh man, I like that guy." Right? That's high praise, not like, "Oh, that guy, that person used to work here." You don't have that reaction for Dustin. Like,
I've got some of those on both sides.
I know who. And whose, because plurals.
So the interesting thing is, in the last week, I've made fantasy football trades with both my current producer and my former producer. And I can't help but think that I tried to pitch a trade to you earlier in the season, a Bijan trade. In retrospect, do you wish you'd made the Bijan trade, given that Arthur Smith apparently hates Bijan Robinson?
They hate their first round pick. Why did you pick him at number 8 if you're not going to use this guy? Like, what was the purpose? You could have got an offensive lineman if that was the case. But I'm like, yes, congratulations. I have RB 52 or whatever the hell he is. It's really, in hindsight, what I thought they would do with a top 10 pick. and what they're doing with a top 10 pick. I don't know what Bijan's not showing them, but clearly it's not enough. So Bijan's, I mean, like there was, how's a guy not play because of a headache, then plays like at the very end of a game? I don't know what the hell's going on, man. Something ain't adding up about this whole Bijan. They are not being 100% honest about whatever this Bijan situation is.
All I know is I tried to trade you for Bijan, and I was like, I just want to root for Bijan and like have some fun with it. And I can't even remember what the specifics of the trade would have been, but I'm glad I didn't make it, or you didn't make it.
Well, yeah. Now I will say this: I'm still sitting at 6-3.
No, you're too good.
And I've beaten Bill already, who I'm tied with. So I technically have the tiebreaker right now, and I got a few more games left. But my team is not scoring a lot of points. I'm that team that is winning by the hair of my chin, like 112 to 98, and I'm just taking the wins. But it ain't pretty, I can tell you that.
Better than like having a great team and just getting your ass smoked because you run against the wrong team every single week. All right, I gotta go.
All right, man.
Take more to do too. So.
See, catch at noon. House divided. Him and Chad Hastings. You know those guys will be doing their thing. So making sure you check him out. Hey, let's do this. Let's do a quick break, and then we come back. I'm going to give you my 5 keys to victory. 5 keys to victory for the Texas Longhorns going into this weekend. Got some cool graphics to show you, some cool stats, some cool numbers that I think you guys are going to enjoy. I went into the basement, did a lot of digging, did a lot of research. So after this break, I'm going to give you the 5 keys, 5 things that need to happen for you just to go ahead and smush those Horned Frogs once and for all. Be right back.
Like the Texas Longhorn football team just tried to hurt your soul and your sanity and your ability to be calm and reasoned. But hey, this is why we watch the games. This is why we love the sport. The Longhorns advance to 5-1. They really haven't advanced anywhere, but they advanced with a win on the hair of their chinny chin chin. I know you guys were nervous. I was. At first and goal at the 7, there at the end, it felt like, holy crap, this is going to actually go down. And then Travis, give the Texas defense a lot of credit for stopping them 4 straight times inside the 7-yard line, but also give credit to Kansas State because every time they got into the inside the 10, inside the 5 today, they tried to reinvent themselves a little bit away from the things that were working. I think Mr. Howard is a very angry individual right now in that Kansas State locker room, but who cares about him? The Longhorns are 5-1. They're in first place all by their lonesome at the moment in the Big 12 for now. They won't be in like 3 hours, but for now, they're alone in first place. They control their destiny to make the Big 12 championship game. And the toughest remaining game on their schedule, maybe, I won't get too far ahead of myself, but maybe just got finished and completed. Your initial reactions, Travis, to this one hell of a ball game. We got to give it that.
I was going to ask if Adam would sue the University of Texas football team on my behalf because they're going to kill me. I'm pretty sure that's coming. My wife will need some a civil lawsuit for sure. Or maybe Will Howard will need to sue Chris Kleiman because that was malfeasance at the end there. Look, I came into this game. I was the only mod that predicted Texas to lose, and it was solely based on what the pass defense does. That soft coverage that they've been running the last couple of weeks, it's criminal that Texas can only give up 33 yards rushing and be in a 1-score and need overtime to win this game. It's criminal. 18 yards rushing. It was 33 yards that they gave up against Houston, and they needed a stop on 4th down there. This is the thing I've been saying on my show every morning, by the way, 6:30 to 7:30, get your horns up on OB Live. This is the thing I've been saying all week, all for the last couple of weeks. Catch, when you watch this team, do you see a playoff team? Because I don't. I don't see a team that has put together a full, complete game, not once this entire season. They have good quarters. They have good flashes, but they haven't come out here and played a full, complete game at all, even against bad teams. And this is a good team that nearly punished them.
Travis Galen, you can see him on Horns Up every morning at 6:30 a.m., 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. before I come in and join you guys at 8 o'clock. And by the way, like I said, if you join the show late, this thing here, this is me growing out my attempts to grow out a mustache in support of Movember. It's Men's Health Awareness Month for you, everyone who's may or may not be familiar. But it's this month-long event focuses on promoting physical and mental well-being amongst men, addressing certain issues like prostate cancer, testicular cancer, mental health challenges, and suicide prevention. Fellas, it's time for us to go to the doctor, get checked. We're getting older, so let's go ahead and go to the doctor. Let's just make sure we get all blood work done, all that kind of stuff. I don't like going to the doctor either, but we need to go ahead and do that. And of course, for mental health awareness as well. A lot of people suffering in silence, and there's no need to continue. Let's get help, and let's get the help that we need. All right, 5 keys to victory. You ready? I'm ready. Let's get into it. The first key is real simple. It is stopping TCU's passing game. Okay, stopping TCU's passing game. Blake's got the numbers out here. Can you put up TCU's passing offense for me, Blake, as the first one? And we can see where TCU is ranked. So this is courtesy of CFB stats. I kind of cut that off originally, but I sent the screenshots. You'll see them on the other ones. But when we look at TCU, and you look at what they do well, the key for TCU, because I'm telling you, they're not going to be able to run. I don't have any anticipation that they'll be able to run the ball effectively against Texas, especially over 4 quarters. The key is that they're going to have to be able to pass the ball. And as you see right now, as far as the Big 12 conference leaders are concerned, TCU right now ranked at number 2, averaging close to 300 yards per game. As you can see, Oklahoma's at 312. As you can see, Texas is sitting there at 271, all the way down to the end. So right there, that is right there. My belief is, and this is why my belief going into the game is that the TCU is going to have to pass the ball for several reasons. 1, I think it's the only chance of winning. 2, is that they fall behind, they're definitely going to have to throw the ball. So what's been put on film really has been a secondary for Texas that's had some challenges. Everyone, that in the game, we saw last week. Last week we were watching a game and you're looking at Kansas State and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell are you doing? Why are you trying to run the ball? This makes no sense. Have you seen this team play? You've got to take it to go in the air. And then what did TCU do? What did Kansas second half? They said, oh, snap. I guess we should pass the ball. And we saw how effective they were. Now let's show Texas passing from a defense standpoint, where they rank, Blake. So for Texas defensive passing, you put that on there. Passing defense. So this is where we're at as far as Texas is concerned. You look at that, right around 240 yards per game. They're ranked number 11th in the conference. So you've got the second ranked passing offense versus the 11th ranked passing defense right there. And so that's where, Texas, that we look at a battle. It's going to be a key battle. They've got to be able to stop them in that passing. And I think that's TCU's only shot, to be honest with you guys. They've got to be able to do that. And yes, I hear you, Stephen Ortiz. You just like that zone coverage. I get it. I understand how you rather than play a little bit more press, but that's how this goes. That's how this has been. Okay. Number 2 has my number second key right there is you've got to stop TCU on third downs. Again, so go ahead, Blake, put up what TCU has been able to do from a third down perspective this season as far as the third down conversions are concerned. TCU right there around 5th. Nothing spectacular, nothing that's going to really move your needle, but they are a top 5 team within the Big 12. They are converting at about a 45.65 clip. K-State with about 50% of theirs, not as effective last week, followed by UCF, Kansas, Oklahoma, and TCU. And so they're right there. Now, on the flip side, there's Texas. And then guys already know this. You should have this stat memorized. But on the flip side, Texas, when it comes to their opponent's third down conversion, not only are they number 1 in the conference, but they're also number 2 in the country. Blake, can you put that one up for Texas? Texas's third down conversion. There you go. 26.45%. So Texas is getting off the field on third downs, and that's been the key there. So again, TCU, not great, not like not like K-State was last week, where K-State was number 1 in the conference as far as conversions are concerned, top 4, top 5 team. But once again, this has been the strength of the team, and it needs to continue to be the strength of the team going forward. My third key is a simple one. No graphic needed for this. Just find an effective 4th and short package. All right, I've given up. Because every week I would say just take the points. Every week I have said take the points, kick a field goal. And I've given up. He ain't going to do it. He's not going to do it as much as I ask, as much as you ask, as much as we say, hey, man, hey, man, look, man, you tried on first down, it didn't work. You tried on second down, it didn't work. You tried on third down, it didn't work. You kick a field goal if you want to. He's like, nope. I've got another play. I'm going to do this again. And it's like, all right, listen. Okay. Savion red package. I feel like that has it's run its course. I feel like it's kind of run its course. Don't feel like it's been out of effect. I think it was kind of cool at first. I think it was a cool toy. I think it's run its course. I know he tried, we know what happened in the Oklahoma game. You tried to put your tackles out there. That didn't work. Like this, can't you just find something that's effective? Just something simple as, I don't know, maybe hand off the ball to Jonathan Brooks. I mean, that sounds like a good idea to me. But I mean, just find something. I don't know, just hand it off to Jonathan Brooks. If you really got to do something, or I don't know, maybe do a play action. I mean, everyone's stuffing the line. Maybe I don't know, coach. You're smarter than me. You're smarter than me, coach. That's in the football aspect. I don't know about it in general, but definitely smarter than me in football. I know you're going to go for it. I can't tell you not to do it. It's like, when your kids are going to go out, you're like, hey, I know you're going to do some things. What I'm just asking you to do is just make some smart decisions. Like, I know you're going to make some bad decisions. Can you just make some smart ones for me? I would really, really appreciate that. Okay, number 4, and I think this goes without saying, another big game for Tavondre and Byron Murphy, the second. Look, at the TCU has got Imani Bailey, who ranks 4th in the Big 12 and 14th nationally with rushing yards at 908. And he's topped 100 yards in 5 games this season. So essentially, he's pretty much their offense. And if Tavondre and Murphy can stop that guy the way they've been so effective against the run this season, then all of a sudden, then that's another key that helps Texas out so much. Last week was one of Sweat's best performances of the season. I'd argue best of his career. 4 tackles, 2 pass breakups, 2 quarterback hurries, and a tackle for loss. So if he's able to do that and get another big game from that, another key to victory. And the 5th one before I bring in El Presidente for his pick, it's real simple. Where's my JB fan club president? It's real simple. It's not rocket surgery, not rocket science, rocket surgery. Run Jonathan Brooks through TCU's defense. It is what it is. Jonathan Brooks he surpassed 1,000 yards rushing this season. He's a 12th consecutive season that Sarkeesian has had 1,000-yard rusher. He's got 1,035 this season. And we know what he's able to do. He's also 5th in the nation as far as rushing yards are concerned, 6th in rushing yards per game, 8th in all-purpose yards. He's ranking 2nd in the big conference in all 3 categories as well. He's also 2nd in the conference in rushing yards per carry at a 6.23 clip, 4th in total touchdowns, and 5th in rushing yards. Ain't no need to overthink it. You run that guy, you run him through TCU's defense, you make them pay. Those, my friends, are my 5 keys to victory, which, of course, every Monday I do a self-audit. And so we'll come back and I'll let you know where I was right, and then we'll let you know where I was wrong. Speaking of right and wrong, it's time to go into the Speakeasy Lounge and bring in El Presidente, who he's bound to give us a 5-0 sooner or later. Let's go ahead and bring in El Presidente for El Presidente's picks. El Presidente, good morning, my friend.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. Where's that energy, El Presidente? What's
it's already been a long morning of real estate, and it's 10:20, and people upset all over the place, putting out fires, and have people have their desires of being a homeowner today is a little bit tough.
Is this a good time, right, El Presidente, for a buyer, right? Isn't this a good time for a buyer?
Yeah, it is a good time. The rate, there's nothing we can do on the rate. I mean, end of the day, there is just nothing you can do on the rate, but you can find the house where you want to live at, and that makes it great for this market, because you can pick anywhere you want, and more than likely, we can get all your closing costs paid for. You can use that closing cost to buy down your rate a little bit. So there is some great advantages. I'm really, really helping the first-time home buyer a lot lately right now, because 2 years ago, they were having to bring $40,000, $50,000 to the table in these bidding wars, and they didn't have that money. So, they had to keep on renting, and now rent has gotten so out of control. They're coming back into the fold. So, it is a great time. It's just you got to have the right people around you to hold your hand, whether it's me, your lender's important. All those factors are important. I'm just use one lender and, try to make it where we steam the process, where it's just an easy 1, 2, 3 for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I keep telling people on the show, El Presidente, not a lot of people trying to buy homes around Thanksgiving. It's a perfect time to get a deal if you are a buyer, especially a first timer. El Presidente, you still there? You got the internet? Blake,
glitching out a little bit on us. So I think he's back now. All right, cool.
All right.
Back?
Yeah, El President. Yeah. You might. You're kind of in and out, but I think we might be all right. Well, let's while the internet's good, let's get to it. Blake, tell El Presidente for his record from last week. Where was El Presidente ranking for those who are curious?
Cool,
El Presidente 2-1 and sitting at 22 and 2. 2 is your lucky number. My goodness, El Presidentes. I like that. That is very, very, very good, very impressive. But it's time to get up. And it's time for you to go ahead and take us above 500, El Presidente. So let's go ahead into the first game, Blake. What's the first game on the docket for El Presidente? He's got Michigan at Penn State. Michigan at a -5. Got an over-under of 46. El Presidente, what are you thinking?
I do not believe in Michigan football at all. I think they're a fraud. I think tomorrow they go to Penn State. I wish this was a night game. I really do. I wish this was a night game, but it's an 11 a.m. game. I know, for Texas to have some postseason goals out there, we need to start seeing some of that top 4, top 5 of that college playoff start losing. Yes. And November is the month where we start seeing things that aren't supposed to happen actually happen. And here's one of those spots. I think Michigan's schedule has been super soft up until this point. They have been blowing everybody out. Hudson Card figured that out last week when he got blown out with Purdue last week. But I think this is one of those games that Purdue could make a statement tomorrow. Or not Purdue. Penn State can make a statement tomorrow at home. It's 11 a.m. kickoff tomorrow. But I like the home dog tomorrow. Penn State getting the points. I like Manny Diaz and his defense that he has up there. It's if they're going to have enough points to win it. And that's what I'm hoping for from a Texas fan perspective. Hey, we need someone of these top 4 teams that are undefeated to get that first L. And that is you start looking at the remainder of the schedule, and I saw your tweet from the other day. Why even have that poll if strength of wins doesn't matter that you posted on Twitter, which was a great shot that you had. I think you had like 600 likes on it, but it's true. And you might want to go back with people and tell people that, but your statement was absolutely spot on. Why have this poll if your wins don't matter?
100%. And, and it doesn't matter. And we'll see how long they can hold serve with Oregon being ranked ahead of Texas, because at some point the echoes are going to be too loud to ignore. But the pick is in, and you've got Penn State. Let's go to game number 2, Blake. What do we got? We got Oklahoma State at UCF. I'm surprised that this is a -2.5. El Presidente. Now they're expecting a lot of points scored for some odd reason, but UCF is like the worst team in the conference. Help me out, El Presidente.
Well, I don't know what's going on with that spread, but when I saw that, and again, we go back to how hot has Oklahoma State been the past couple of weeks. When we predicted on this show 4 or 5 weeks ago and they lost to South Alabama, I thought they were dead for the season. Yes. They lost to the JV team of the state of Alabama. And now look what he has done up there. He is righted the ship, and Gundy has got those guys playing. And if everything holds well with their schedule and Texas's schedule, it looks like these two will collide in Arlington here in a couple of weeks. So give me the red hot Oklahoma State Cowboys on the road.
How about them Cowboys? Definitely on the collision course with Texas at this rate as they close out, as I talked about with Catch, with the gauntlet of UCF, Houston, and BYU.
Yes.
I think we know who will be in Arlington
at
this point, and now it's just a matter of who will be meeting them there. Number 3, El Presidente, we've got Kansas versus Texas Tech. Kansas at a -3.5 versus Tech. What do you make of this one?
Well, again, I'm going to keep on riding the hot teams, and not another hot team in the world than Kansas. I like Kansas to go out to West Texas and beat a really, really, really bad Texas Tech team. They're down to their 3rd quarterback. They haven't been playing well. I know they played well on Thursday night against TCU, but TCU is not a very good team right now. But I like the way Lance Leipold and his Kansas Jayhawks are playing. I'm a big admirer of the guy from where he came from. Started in Division III. He's always had the tougher jobs. He went to Buffalo, changed that job. He's gone to Kansas. I mean, no one's ever thought Kansas would do, other than the Mark Mangino days. Look what he's done with Kansas, and I admire his work. I just think Tech is just, they were overhyped this year, and they're down to their 3rd string quarterback. And, sometimes that's the way the ball bounces for them. But, better them than us.
All right, so pick us in. You've got Kansas. What about the over and under? That wasn't appealing to you at all?
Not appealing to me, because I'm just not super impressed with Tech's offensive play calling this year. They're, I watched the full game versus TCU last week. They went up to, where was it? Wyoming, and laid a dud week 1. I don't trust Tech at all. I'll put my money on Kansas.
Fair enough. Number 4, El Presidente, Georgia versus Ole Miss. You talked about teams that you need to lose, and if there ever was a week for a Texas fan to root for Old Lane Kiffin,
yes,
it would absolutely be the week. But Georgia's got that 10.5-point favorite. So I'm curious. I want to hear your thoughts.
One of our picks last week was that we had the tie on last week was Ole Miss beating Texas A&M. And, they they started hot, and then they kind of cooled down there at the beginning and went back and forth, and Ole Miss was able to squeak it out. But you know what? Georgia's playing really, really good football right now. That being said, give me Georgia the minus the 10. I think it's going to be one of those things that Kirby Smart and the defense really put the clamps on that high-flying Ole Miss offense. And I like the Georgia Bulldogs to cover that 10 pretty easily. It's weird when Lane has to go against the upper echelon of the SEC. He, like earlier this year when he went to Alabama, he struggled. I can kind of see that the same way this week, and I see Georgia winning pretty easy on this one.
Interesting. I mean, Georgia in their previous game against Missouri wins 30-21. They did have the blowout victories, I guess, against Florida, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky, a 27-20 victory against Auburn. So 24-14 against South Carolina. So very interesting, El Presidente, to go a little bit above. But we shall see. But last, and of course, definitely not least, Texas versus TCU. Quinn Ewers is back. So you have that safety cushion. And so Texas has scored over 30 points in every game. Clears to see if you're taking the over-under, or if you're actually going with the line itself.
Well, I am going with the line itself. Like last week, we picked the dog last week when Kansas State came in, and guess what we're going to do again this week? Wow. We are going to pick the dog. I think you alluded to it right before I came on. Until Sark starts taking the points, I can't take Texas. And those are such huge momentum swings the past couple of weeks. If we take the points, it's going to be an easier path for Texas to win the game, and we just haven't been doing that. And with that, the Texas secondary right now is kind of reeling right now. It is reeling, especially those two safeties. I read a stat last night that our top two safeties are giving up the most in passing yards in the Big 12. So, this is like the NFL, these college coaches, they copycat everything they see too. We're still going to get a full dose of crosses, and we're going to, we haven't changed into the 3 games now where we're sitting back in zone. So give me TCU plus the 12.5. It was 7 yesterday. Then they made the announcement of Quinn Ewers, and Quinn Ewers bumped it up to 12.5. But until Sark starts taking the points, until we start figuring out some of those secondary problems, I do feel like we will score a lot of points against TCU. But and I do like everything, and you have reported what these players are saying. They felt like last year they let one get away, and and I think it's going to resonate on the offense. They didn't score an offensive touchdown against TCU last year. And if it was me as an offensive, not only coach, as a player, I am walking in motivated this game. But until we get some of those defensive issues fixed, or we might not get them fixed. It is what it is, and we ride the season out with it. Give me the points on that, and I just think it's a little bit too much.
All right. Let's see what Money B has to say, because he usually has those say so. He goes, all right, in the super chat, he's got Oklahoma State. He took the Michigan/Penn State under. Tech and Kansas, he takes the over. I don't know what he said as relates to Georgia or Texas versus TCU. But nonetheless, Money didn't actually trash you too badly. So
that's good. That is good.
You guys actually agreed. You guys actually agreed on the OSU one. And then he took the points on the other ones, it looks like.
And for me, and I'm seeing what everybody's putting in the chat, TCU offensive line is god awful. Texas 41-23. Hey, I get it, but what Texas team is going to show up? You know what I mean? We play in these great spurts. Last week, another example, came out on fire first quarter, and then we let people just hang around. So until that trend ends, I'm going to keep on taking the points. Last week shouldn't have been ever that close, and then look how it got. That Houston game should have never been that close, and look where it went to. So, hopefully they're trying to address some of these defensive deficiencies they have. I understand from orangebloods.com, and I have read the injury report that y'all have, that we are full hands on deck. Everybody's playing. Mm-hmm. But with Sark, you don't know if you can take that, because he keeps those injuries. He doesn't tell you anything.
Never know.
You never know.
So Sark's injury report is like a box of chocolates. You definitely never know.
You definitely never know. But are you still coming up tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a call when I hit the road.
Yeah, just let me know, and if you can,
I'm gonna hit the road probably the next hour or so, and I'll give you a call.
Yeah, let me know, and then we'll go from there. And then, hey, all right, good luck to everybody this weekend.
All right, El Presidente's picks is there. Hey, by the way, Blake, I don't think I've told people about specs yet, but you know what? It's Friday. It is time for you to go. If you're going to be hitting the road and heading out there to either Fort Worth this weekend, or you're going to be at home and decide, hey, the Texas game is going to be a little bit of a later game. Just get a chance to sit around, enjoy yourself, sip on a little drink. You got to go to Specs. They got the best beer. They got the best wine. They got the best spirits. Hell, they'll even get that thing delivered for you. You serious? Yeah, they'll deliver that thing for you. Check out what the good people at Specs has got offered for you. Blake, let them know.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Cheers to you. All right, you guys have hung out long enough. Blake, let's do a couple of social media standouts before we get out of here, Blake. Let's go ahead, whichever ones you want to go put on the screen. Let's do some social media standouts. People stand out for good. People kind of stand out for bad. Let's check this report out. Because I know you've been wanting a Taylor Swift update. Come on. It's Football Friday, which means on Sunday, it all becomes about Taylor Swift. And here's what you need to know. Travis Kelce is planning to travel to Argentina during the Chiefs bye week to be at Taylor Swift's Era Tour via the New York Post. Kelce will return to the United States on Sunday in order to be back in time for practices for week 11. The team doesn't play another game until November 20th versus the Eagles. This man's going to be trying to just live his best life at this moment. My man, it's decided, hey, I'm just going to go to Argentina and watch her perform. I mean, I don't really feel like that's an equivalent. Like, I don't feel like her traveling to Kansas City is the equivalent of him traveling to Argentina. And do you want your guy traveling to Argentina? Or do you say, you know what, whatever you do that's going to make you happy and a better player when you return, so be it. But all I know is there's nothing but Taylor Swift updates every single day. You can't go anywhere without it. There it is. Blake, let's give us another one. Give us another social media standout. So David Schuster. This is what we call dedication. David Schuster, for all those who talk about the HOA, David Schuster is a part of his HOA. I guarantee you this guy's a part of his HOA. So he goes, hey, dear Disney chairman Bob, I don't know, was it Iger? My family and I were planning a week-long trip to Walt Disney World in 2024. But we have paused the reservations given that ESPN and College Game Day, which Disney / ABC oversees. If Feinbaum isn't fired at ESPN, our family will go to Six Flags. Congrats. And then he does the thing where he just keeps going down the rabbit hole. He goes, hey, dear DoorDash, I need about $500 of food delivered soon for a kid's party, but thanks to your association to ESPN and College Game Day, I'll be giving all my business to Grubhub. Congratulations. # boycott ESPN. And then he goes, hey, dear Home Depot, I need to purchase a lot of lumber and building materials from one of your local stores this weekend for my deck renovation work. But thanks to your association with ESPN and College Game Day, my business is going to Lowe's. Congratulations. Hashtag boycott ESPN. Is he really just, he's literally upset, literally only because Feinbaum works for ESPN. And because Feinbaum works for ESPN, now he's finding everything that's associated with him. You want to know who's reporting you to the HOA about your trash can being out there a day later? David Schuster. David Schuster. Now, dedication to the cause, 100%. 100%. Very well worded, very clearly educated man. But boy, I don't know if I hate you hate Feinbaum that much where you're going to boycott everything associated with it. Like, wow, like you can change the channel, David. Like, I don't know. You can't just say I'm not going to watch. But he's got a personal boycott / protest to everything that's related to ESPN and Disney. So be it. All right, let's do a couple of more social media standouts. Boy, David, you definitely stand out. Money B, this is for you, Money B. This is for you, Scott. This is for you, Shook One. All you young bucks that are out there. Somebody, so Karen, Care Bear Karen, as we know, friend of the family, friend of the show. There was a tweet out there about the throwback uniforms. And one of the things that someone tweeted at Del Conte, it says, well, basically this, I'm paraphrasing, they'd have throwback uniforms if Del Conte wasn't stuck in 1965. And then so Del Conte responds with, hey, not sure I'm stuck in 1965, but I just happen to think our colors are perfect. And I'm not one to mess with perfection. And there will continue to be the battle between old school and new school. Because the young kids, you young guys, you guys want some alternate uniforms. And Del Conte is not having it. And the old school guard is not having it either. And I'm just here for the fight between both of y'all. All right. Blake, let's maybe do like two more. Let's just do two more and then we'll call it a day. Men, she put this thing out here. Men, this kind of end up being kind of a little bit of a viral thing here. All you fellas, Aqua Lady wants to know, men, what is stopping y'all from looking like this? You're lazy, huh? Blake, what's stopping you from looking like this? Catch, what's stopping you from looking like this? Jared, Blake, May, Texas guy, Scott in Texas, Shook Ones, huh? Texas guy too. Who else is in here? Too Broke to Pay Attention is in here. River Oak Society, Sark After Dark, Money B, Cotton, Craig, all you guys, Chad Gibson, Rex St. Charles, Mike Torres, Too Broke to Pay Attention, Brandon, I'm going through all of you guys, Steven Ortiz. What's stopping you from looking like this? What about you, Colby? What about you, Disbanded Brotherhood? What about you, huh? Michael Lofton. What about you, Ricardo? What about you, Scott in Texas? Kenny R, Blake R. What's stopping all of you lazy, good for nothing men out there? What about you, G. Lewis? What's stopping all of y'all from looking like this? Colin, Agent Z. Derek, Aqua Lady wants to know, what's preventing you from getting your butt off there, off your couch, you little Whataburger, Chick-fil-A eating dudes, Texas boy, because you work $60, 60 hours a week, and your wallet already looks like that. ATX Big Rich, Too broke, philosopher. What's stopping you? Dad bod better is greater than void bod. Craig says steroids. Hey, that guys, I mean, because I can't grow a beard like that. That's the only thing, right? That's all that's stopping me. That's all that's stopping me. Big Tex, you said because you love pizza and wings too much. Oh, yes, Chick-fil-A. Boy, I might get that one on the way out today, man. That's what she wants to know, fellas. You lazy men. Blake May, I don't wear stripes anymore. That thing really, like, honestly, guys, it actually did go viral. It was pretty funny to see that, and of course the clap back and the responses. I don't know if we can top it. Let's do one more and see if we got one that even comes close, Blake. Let's see. All right. This is for all the guys. This is for all you airline flyers. Okay. It goes. I'm losing my mind. Just offer the aisle seat to the guy sitting between me and my girlfriend on the flight, and he said he'd rather stay in the middle between us. And he is losing his mind. Hey, fellas, ladies, if somebody's saying, hey, I just want to sit next to such and such, are you saying, and he wants the middle seat. He wants the middle seat. And which is weird because he offers him the aisle. And he's like, hey, you want to sit out here in the aisle? And then we, my girl, can sit next to each other, and he's losing his mind. Hey, maybe he doesn't want to sit in the aisle. Maybe he doesn't want that cart hitting him at all times. Maybe he feels pretty good about it. And by the way, fella, you're losing your mind. I don't know. Why didn't you book a ticket with you guys sitting together? Like, why'd you not do that? And who knows? Maybe he wants to sit in the middle seat because it means something to him. Maybe he feels safer. Maybe he feels more secure. Maybe there's some things he's got a fear of flying, and this does him good. Who knows what's going on?
Maybe he's trying to shut them up by keeping them apart.
And then maybe there's that too. Maybe he just doesn't want to hear them talking. Maybe he heard, you might be right, Blake. He might have heard those two as they wait for the plane to board. He's like, golly, it's going to be so annoying to sit. I'm just so, and then he gets on there and he's like, man, you put on your headphones and you put on your headphones because I'm not trying to deal with it. Hey, at the end of the day, don't be a cheapskate. You buy the tickets that you want to have. And it's different if you want, hey, I want to sit next to my kid. Like, but if it ain't your kid, hey, that's on you. Keep your middle seat, sir, and let him go crazy. All right. Thank you, guys. Nearly 3 hours here. Listen, coming up next at noon, it will be House Divided. It will be Jeff Ketchum, Chad Hastings that are coming. So make sure you check that out. Last show of the day, folks. Last show of the day before Blake goes and passes out, goes into a coma, and he will wake up tomorrow for tomorrow's show. So tomorrow will be the watch along on Saturday, followed by the post-game show. So let me go ahead and get packed up and head on down to Fort Worth. I will see you guys there. And of course, see you guys on Monday. So for Blake, who's been producing behind the scenes 4 days out of the last 5, thank you. To Jeff Ketchum, who came on at 9 o'clock and provided some brevity. Appreciate you guys. And I hope when I talk to you guys on Saturday after the game, and of course on Monday, that we got a whole lot of great things to discuss. Let's hope your Longhorns go out there, smash some frogs, roll over them, come back to Austin with another dub, and then we can get ready for Iowa State. Until then, you guys take care. Remember what I always say, live each day like it was your last, because one day it will be. I'll see you guys on Saturday. You guys take care. Peace.